Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody. Welcome on this Saturday morning, December 21st, 2019, to a brand new, well, why is it brand new? Like, it's not a new brand. It's Dave's Gone By. We've been doing it for 17 and a half years. It's just basically new. Or it's not really new because, as I said, the show is 17 and a half years old. So it's a novel. It's a brand novel episode of this video podcastio programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, and a special guest, and all the wonderful and amazing things that we do every single week here in the Daverhood. I'll tell you more as soon as we get through, of course, our opening intro music that is the same this is not brand, nor is it new. It's just our theme.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Flamingos in a fruit fight.
Well, as I said, here goes the Daverhood, here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream, getting towards holiday time, even though we're still, what are we? We're 2 nights away from Hanukkah, so it's definitely holiday time for us here in the Daverhood, and for our reasonably new friend. I guess our listeners have named him Roit Adom, Roit for red, Adom, I think, was Adom blood? I don't even remember what that stood for, but here he is. He's got his skull cap on. He's even got 2 Hanukkah candles in his knapsack, because what child doesn't go around to school and to various places and to the massage parlors and pool halls without having 2 fine Hanukkah candles in his bag? By the way, welcome to Chris and to all the other folks who are tuning in on this Saturday, December 21st, 2019. But I gotta say, usually I'm the first one to get all steamed up and all head up about the idea of holidays not really starting when they actually ought to start, especially since I'm Jewish. So it bothers me infinitely when Christmas season, as it were, starts in early October, right? Because I'm not Christian, I ever will be, unless Jesus somehow pays me a visitation, which I doubt. Just, it could happen, but I doubt. So I'm meant to be who I am, and so who I am does not really appreciate the idea of a secular place like the United States starting Christmas everywhere you go. Christmas music in the mall, Christmas music going into Rite Aid or Duane Reade or Walgreens, places like that, and all the decorations and the stuff. And yeah, 80% of it is non-specifically religious, but the whole tonality of it is an 80% Christian country, and I am something of a stranger in that country, being who I am for those weeks. So it always bugged me. And it bugged me that, if you want to celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and you want to decorate your stores and you want to decorate the town, totally go for it. Huge holiday. It's a lovely time of year. And we're also miserable cold weather if you're on the East Coast usually. So you need something to take the edge off the middle of December and literally the shortest days of the year. So put up some trees and nice warm glowing lights around the trees. And we have friends of ours who were I guess someone who tuned in, I won't mention her name, was complaining that she lives in a place where there are more and more Jews, and a lot of Orthodox Jews who've moved in. And she feels that, and she seems to notice that on the lawns and on the houses of all the Christian people who've been living there a longer time, there are more and bigger decorations than there used to be. It's almost as if, oh my God, so many Jews are populating, let's show them how Christian we can be for a couple of weeks. And they just put up like more trees and more ornaments and more things. And to me, I think she's being a little bit paranoid about that, just because what's really happening, if you've noticed, is they're making these things bigger. Like you buy one piece at Kmart, or who sells these kinds? Target?
Probably Walmart.
Walmart, right? So it's this giant blow-up Santa on the reindeer.
You like the teddy, the polar bear that's shivering. You
Right,
like
this nervous, neurotic.
He's cold.
I know he's coming down off opioids.
Oh.
I'm absolutely sure the polar bear, not the Polaroid bear, the polar bear, he's like this because he hasn't had his oxycodone in 4 days. He's trying to kick it for Christmas,
I
right?
think he needs a CBD.
But he's 10 times the size of what lawn ornaments used to be. It's just a little candle.
And now, David, the lights are the ones that project the lights on the houses.
Oh,
it's no longer string
right.
lights. Yeah.
So it looks like people are buying more stuff to put on their lawns and make themselves even more egregiously, Flandersy.
It's actually easier because they're just putting an inflatable thing with the blower.
Yeah, you blow it up, and then boom, suddenly.
No. It's a little motor, and it blows it up at night, and then during the day.
Oh, it deflates.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So, and you got instead of just buying a cute little Rudolph for your lawn, now there's a giant inflatable plastic Rudolph that goes up to life size.
Sunglasses and a palm tree.
Yeah, exactly. He's flying over Florida. He's got. Not only is he the reindeer, he's on his reindeer sled, his sleigh. Yeah. Santa's behind him doing things to make him go faster. We're not going to talk about that. And that's one piece that you buy at Walmart. And so it looks like people are buying more. It's just like, no, all you got to buy is one thing. It's like TVs.
And plug it in.
I grew up watching a 9-inch TV screen all the way around, black and white. Now, nobody gets a TV that's smaller than 50 inches in diameter. But it's still, all of that, especially when I was younger, would bug the hell out of me because it wasn't December 24th. It wasn't even the day before Christmas. More and more, the holiday encroached. More and more. After first, it was Thanksgiving, and then the day after Thanksgiving, every commercial on TV was Christmas, Christmas, Christmas.
Yeah, but you like the Yule log.
I did love it. But when was the Yule log on TV?
1902.
Well, no, but I mean, what it started? Christmas Eve. I will get to this. This is not Christmas. This is the other thing. But this is the one that I believe. But here's the deal. It was, you wait until Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving, you knew, okay, the next 3 weeks, and every TV show, it's the reruns of
but now they have Christmas in July.
Oh, they do that too, thanks to Crazy Eddie.
Hi to Scott, Stephen, JL, and David.
She just did. Thank you to all the folks tuning in, and Esther, and Jolinda, and Bert, and Rick, and David from my high school. So, and now it's not even. Now they start way before Thanksgiving because Black Friday and the Christmas sales are the most important time for merchants in our economy. So it's kind of after Halloween. But even before, we're at the point where soon as Labor Day is over, we're way before Thanksgiving that Christmas starts in this country now, in terms of when, that radio station on Long Island that fired the guy who worked for them for 37 years, right? I think it's, forgive me if it's wrong, but I believe it's WALK, right? I mean, the guy, God bless him for keeping him for 3.5 decades, doing what he does. Yeah. Man was 66 years old. They fired him for the end of the year, and then they went at least until January 2nd with all Christmas music. Talk about the Christmas spirit. You can a guy who's giving you the better part of his creative life, and then it's like, and now let's hear holiday songs. But this goes on now post Labor Day. They've already got the shelves being cleared in your local retailers. So all this time I've hated Christmas and the Christmas season for that reason. Just its ubiquitousness and its direct assault on my values because I am not of that faith. However, This year, I've been working full-time for the past few months now in a place local to where I live. And the job has its ups and downs. Salary's way down. People go up and down. But, when I get to work, I get left alone a lot of the time. I get to plug in, listen to old-time radio.
I think it's related to your BO.
Nobody wants to approach me. Of course not. That's good. I purposely don't shower for weeks so that people will send me memos. Dave, do this. When it's done, don't actually hand it to me.
Just
leave it in a pile outside my door.
Put on your green hat and have a party.
And get it. Can we mention that? I don't know if I want to mention that, but I guess I can mention it.
Keep going.
Yeah, but here's the deal. So I'm working in this place, and what's nice about being in a public place like this, a New York State related, not government, but local, state government-y kind of place that I'm in, is that towards this time of year, people start feeling sort of generous and pleasant towards the people who've been serving them all.
Get free bagels?
Well, that goes around all year long. Let's give them a shout out to Bagel Boss of Long Island, because I don't get them every time, but like once a week when they haven't sold all their bagels that for that day. I'm not talking about like 2 weeks old. For that day, it's like instead of tossing the bagels or giving it to some hungry, starving homeless people who don't really need them, they'll bring them to us. And we'll certainly get like a dozen bagels to distribute among people who are there and staff. And they said, thank you. That's lovely. And they do that all year long.
That's nice.
Which is part of the point I'm going to make.
That's nice.
And of course, very nice. Very nice. And then once or twice or three times a year, the union that we belong to, because we have a union where we work, they take our union dues.
Are they the ones that killed Hoffa?
They're kind of related. They're not Teamsters, though. Actually, they probably are related to the Teamsters. So I'm not going to say anything really bad about the union.
Yeah, no,
everything's perfect. They're wonderful. They're great, and they've been grabbing $25 out of a paycheck every week.
Do they give you food?
Well, here's the deal.
It should be every month.
Twice a year. It'd be nice. They take whatever dues they have left over, and suddenly we come in and there's bagels and spread and cheese and butter and orange juice for a day or two.
Nice.
That lasts 2 or 3 days. Thank you. But that's our union. We're kind of sort of getting payback for all the money that we've given them week after week after week.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice that they're spending it on us and it's not their stupid, like 24, 28 page, magazine. Because like everybody reads the magazine that they're it's like the money that you pay to AAA when you have a car.
Oh yeah.
And you get that monthly How many millions of dollars does the American Automobile Association spend on that? That people kind of flip through, they sort of glance. I mean, a website probably people use. No, we need roadside assistance. We still need your maps occasionally or your online maps. What else would you want from the AAA?
Some discounts.
Well, more discounts.
Yeah, more discounts.
Spend the money on an ad salesperson who's going to give the membership more discounts. And don't be sending me a magazine every month with the postage and the paper and the ink, its color. Millions, I will bet, to send out tens of hundreds of thousands of these things. Save the money that I would be paying you every month or every year to be a member of this. And don't need, this is a person who, of course, bemoans the loss of hard copy magazines. But there are people, it's like, remember on airlines, you used to get an airline magazine?
You still do sometimes.
Yeah, well, because you know what? You're sitting there, you're stuck there. You're actually going to read it.
You want the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. But here's the deal.
Will, Larry, and Warhol join?
Hello, Will, Larry, and Warhol, and Karen also, and David, and Rick, and Bert or Bart. Forgive me, I think it's Bert. I can't see higher than that. But here's the deal. This time of year, where I've been working, and a place like this, partially a public facility, 2 weeks ago, we started getting cakes, bagels, snacks, beverages, chocolate assortments, and things. And now over the past week and a half, it's been absolutely nuts. We have about 40-something people who work in this place. We can't eat all the lovely, delicious crap they've been
yes.
Oh, we're trying. We are trying. I have gained, I'm sure, 2 pounds already over the past 2 weeks, just because every time I pass by the break room, it's like, oh, well, there's a chocolate-covered Oreo thing. Oh, that cake wasn't there this morning. I need to try it. There's a pound cake. There's a cheese. And of course, for the holidays, we just had our staff bake competition. So in the midst of all this, where we're getting all this free food and comestibles from other people, we also had a thing where folks from where I work brought in stuff that they made to be judged. So suddenly there's also chocolate chip cookies and oatmeal raisin cookies, and one woman who won the competition made a lemon chiffon pie that was to die for, quite honestly. It was so good. But I'm telling you, and what's going to happen, and what makes me sad, because I'm preternaturally Jewish and sad, is that January 2nd, it all goes away, right? Save some of this food that we're literally almost going to throw out at a certain point. Instead of bringing this in now, wonderful people, folks who respect and like the board of directors that govern what we do, don't give us something on December 18th. How about coming in February February 8th?
So Scott, someone said, "Oy vey, why should you complain? In Arizona, we put cheese and jalapenos on the bagels, and they think the Jews died right out after the resurrection."
Okay. Thank goodness we didn't die after the so-called resurrection. Jalapenos would have killed us back then. I don't know how we would have tolerated the heat of jalapeno peppers if we're wandering in the desert for 40 years. That'd be a great joke from God. It's like, here's something. Here. I know you're schwitzing. I know the manna is coming in the morning, but to tide you over, here's some delicious hot peppers. And the Jews would be like, we're worshiping a golden calf. That's
Nancy,
it.
Matthew, and Joni join?
Well, welcome, Ken, Nancy, Matthew, and Jody. Jimmy. Sorry. Anywho, but so that's my one thing. So this year, I am totally digging the season. Totally digging even Christmas, even that Hallmark has now on its channel nonstop Christmas romantic comedy movies. Not that I would watch Hallmark anyway. Even though, I've got a person in our office area where I work who actually plays, and some of it is non-secular, believe me, Christmas music from the moment she gets in to the moment she leaves, and that's why I've got my headphones in, because she doesn't have her headphones in, right? So, but I'm tolerating, I'm liking, basically, because if you're going to feed me,
Marjorie,
if you're going to give me delicious sweet and salty snacks for 3.5 weeks for free, that I don't have to buy, and once or twice a week, I don't even have to buy or make lunch, because you're giving me lunch.
You always buy lunch. It's a waste of money.
It's not a waste of money. It cost me $6 or $7 to have lunch. Okay. Yeah. Well, is it amazing? My wife is saying that because I like to buy lunch twice a week, because usually there's leftover and I have it the next day. But that is somehow a waste of money because I enjoy it so much.
No, not because you enjoy it so much, because you're wasting money. You just said you don't make a good salary.
I'd make a terrible salary, quite honestly. But that's what I'm worth, because I'm Dave. Here on the Dave's Gone By Facebook, podcast, programmio of the stream. And what else? So that's it. So I'm actually, for once, in a positive seasonal mood, and a mood that isn't a Hanukkah-y mood necessarily, or completely. Now, speaking of Hanukkah, look at what my wife did last night. She put up this wrapping paper for our background today. It's the special Happy Hanukkah wrapping paper. Even says it right there. I know this is kind of far away. We've got a dreidel. We've got a menorah. We've got what they call sufganiyot, which is the jelly donut. We've got a jug here of, and my wife does have nice jugs, by the way. What else? What do we have here? Light up the night. Little sign. Light up the night. And I'm dreading showing this to our friend Potato, because of course he makes a cameo on every show. And Cynthia says, "Hi, Dave." And Potato and I say, "Hi, Cynthia. Yes, we will have our Today-Yesterday quiz. We promise that." But here, Potato, oh, look. Uh-oh, he's smelling the frying pan of you-know-whats for latkes. That's my cousin Yitzchak in there. What did they do him? That was potato. We always tell him when it comes to either French fries or latkes or mashed potatoes that they were dead already.
Or tofu.
Or either they're tofu, or we take the already dead potatoes and repurpose them, and that is the continuation. It's like the Lion King. It's the circle of life. And how dumb do you think I am? How dumb, Daddy? You really don't let me answer that question. I mean, take a look at him. Thanks, Daddy. See if you get through Thanksgiving next year, huh? Okay, Potato. I apologize. Anyway, let me tell you what's going to be on. How do you feel, Joyce, my darling and adorable wife, about the holidays overall?
I feel that the holidays are just a way for the society to spend money. I don't think there's any. I think that it's disgusting to me how much of the holidays are not supposed to be about buying stuff. I had a discussion with one of your family members. Hanukkah is not as big as Christmas, but it's been conflated. We have the Hanukkah book. We have all. So I think like people should celebrate the holidays with people they love or care for, and all of the buying and all of the consumerism kind of makes me sad.
Did it when you were growing up? Because you were born in late '60s, and then so it was before it became totally immersive and safe.
I had a grandmother who I didn't want a lot of stuff as a child. But my grandmother got me a doll's house. She went and bought every room of furniture. She got me a Cabbage Patch.
My grandmother got me Rosmersholm.
No, but my grandmother loved to shop for me because I was the only child. So I got a lot of things, but I didn't necessarily want them all. I think it made me more thing-oriented as a child a little bit.
I mean, it kind of does. And I don't know, as a Jew, I don't know if I felt suddenly... If I had that deprivation feeling of like, all my Christian neighbors, they get bikes, they get all these great toys. I get chocolate money.
But you always grew up in a shtetl, right? So you grew up amongst other Jews. Right.
But we did have, my father's very close friend would always get me a really amazing gift. It wasn't even birthday necessarily. It was more around Christmas time, more around Hanukkah time, when they come over to them or we go over there. Yeah. And suddenly I knew, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get like a trumpet. Or like a drum set at one point from this guy, because he was making a good living, and for him, that time of the season was both about family and about gifts, and we get great gifts.
And you were the only kid probably in that time. You
he didn't have children.
Yeah. You were much older than your cousins, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was the only. If he was going to buy for a little child and the child of his best friend, essentially, why not? But it worked for me. Because all the other things, Hanukkah, my aunts would get me like sweaters, which children are like, oh, okay, clothing, yeah. And then chocolate money, which is delish, but it's a little piece of, you eat it in 4 seconds, with a little bag of the gold coins. What is it? It's a big deal, Hanukkah, whoop-de-doo. But suddenly it's like, oh, Hanukkah tied to Christmas, there's something to this. But you're right, it shouldn't be about, of course, what it's become about, but we are in a capitalist society, a secular society. So I think I would rather be in a society that ties its holidays just to fake good cheer and shopping than to be, let's say, an Islamo-fascist society where religion is the rule of law and the rule of the day. I think I'd rather have what we have than that.
I'd rather have nothing.
Well, but then how do you parse the days? How do you make December 24th and 25th these dreary middle of the winter days? Except winter hasn't even started yet.
You have
different.
You have Friendsgiving and Festivus.
Yeah, but you invent. You still have to invent a reason.
I would have nothing. I would just put candles in the trees and that's it.
Candles, you burn down the whole place.
That's right.
You bring you to California, you'd be a public enemy number one.
I think we should impeach the holidays.
Yeah, that would be not. Which holiday? Pick one holiday.
Every holiday.
Maybe Yom HaAtzmaut.
It's too much. They're stressful for people.
Right.
One of my mom's friends for Thanksgiving, she cooked a whole, big, rigmarole and everything. Yeah. And not a lot of people came. It's very stressful.
It is. We make of it as...
we're going to cook by Mama. I'm probably going to end up cooking the pasta and stuff.
Probably.
You know that.
I know. It is what it is. But, I mean, I get it. I get wanting to make a night special. Because as they say, when Jews meet each other at funerals, which is when we tend to meet some relatives that we haven't seen in 10 years, it's like, what can they say? We should meet on happy occasions.
Yeah.
Next time we should get together. We should actually do a dinner and not have it be for this excuse. But people don't. We get bored. We don't necessarily really want to see our relatives. We like to know that they're alive out there somewhere. We just don't really want to share soup with them. But the holidays force you to do that. For all the excessive stuff, for all the spending and the shopping and the buying and the commercials and the music, if you're being forced to meet Aunt Hechel for maybe her last time and maybe your last time, you might not appreciate it then. But 20 years later, when Aunt Hechel is gone, you'll be like, oh, the last time I saw Aunt Hechel, it was at that holiday thing. And we have a picture with her.
Where she was fighting everyone to get like a crumb of food.
Fine. If you and Aunt Hechel were rolling over the table, that's a story.
I don't have an Aunt Hechel.
You don't have it. Everybody has an Aunt Hechel.
I don't.
Oh, really? Maybe she was the dead twin.
No, my 25% is not celebrated.
What? Oh, you're talking about you're not 25%. What were you? You were 8% on the 23andMe.
That was my Spanish and Portuguese, I think.
Oh, maybe. By the way, welcome to Trish and John, of course, and Jeffrey, and all the folks tuning in to Dave's Gone By. We're live on this Saturday, December 21st, 2019. And
I just sent a picture of the penguin wearing a yarmulke lighting the menorah.
Yay!
See, look.
Let me see. Where is it? Oh, where Joyce is showing me her little Facebook page where she's...
and two children lighting the menorah, and then a bunch of other like menorah lighting.
Yay menorah stuff. So happy holiday.
An owl that says Happy Hanukkah.
Who does an owl? An owl, really?
Yeah, they're very devout in that way.
Oh, I guess they're Hebrew. Okay, that's an owl joke. I know, not a good one. So we're calling this, since we've gotten into the Hanukkah thing, The Righteous Two. That is the title of today's episode. Why am I calling it that? The Righteous Two.
Oh, here's I'm doing a penguin spinning a dreidel.
Yay! That's both nice and ice. So, Righteous Two, because our guest in the Daverhood is a fellow named Marty Brounstein.
Hey, where's the guy?
Speaking of Jewish people, Marty Brounstein. Now, the deal with him is he's mostly a public speaker. He is mostly, in fact, he's a whole public PA system. Okay. Wow. He goes and he motivates office workers and things like that. Yeah. Oh, I was wondering where that was. Thank you. That's his main thing. But he's also written a book, and the book is called Two Among the Righteous Few. And it is what could be, Hanukkah is the most happy, festive, food-oriented, fun, zany. It's not quite Purim, but second only to Purim. It's this happy, incredibly joyous, fun holiday. So what better time for Jews to talk about the Holocaust? So yes, we have a Holocaust story for you today, but it ends, apparently, happily. And Marty Brounstein is going to talk about that because he's written this book called Two Among the Righteous Few. It's about a couple of what Rabbi Saul Solomon would call goyim, who save Jews. They do that whole Oscar Schindler thing. So he's written about it because he's gotten some pretty firsthand knowledge of the folks who did this. He's written the book. He wants to talk about the book and about his career. He will be talking not to me, but to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon, right here on Dave's Gone By in a little while, probably about an hour and a half or so from now. For those who are tuning in specifically for that interview, we've got other stuff to do before that happens. What other stuff? Well, first of all, we're going to go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto. Not a lot of Broadway news happening this time of year because, the producers, people who have money, they're already in Florida. They're already in Hawaii and the Bahamas and planning things under wraps for the spring. So there isn't a tremendous amount of news. Am I still there?
You went black.
Joyce says, I went black. Let me check. Nah, still 3 inches of dynamite.
Look, you're out of the...
Hello, are you plugged in?
Yeah.
Because I seem to be, if other people have lost me for some reason on the internet, let me know. Or don't let me know if you're not seeing me. Drop me a
I
message.
don't know what happened. Now playing.
Huh. Well, I'm maybe reload or
Oh, it
something.
looks like there's the watch party. I think it's still going on.
Oh, good. Maybe
I'm not sure,
reload.
yeah.
I don't know what happened.
If I reload, I may lose the watch party.
Oh, okay, then I don't know what to tell you. But I see myself there. So, what was I saying? Inside Broadway. But I did get to see a Broadway show this week. And I went to see the David Byrne concept
Scott
musical.
said he misses his Aunt Charlotte and Uncle Jack.
Oh.
He loved her noodle kugel and Uncle Jack's Passover diatribes.
Oh. If there's one thing Jews miss, it's their relatives' diatribes. I missed the noodle kugel, and there was something about the way Jack would get all red in the face and start screaming and pushing his knife into the dining room table. Oh, I missed that. But anyway.
So I still see you here, but this is on my feed. I'm going to think it's okay.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know what happened. But anyway, I was going, inside Broadway Theater. I saw the David Byrne show. It's called American Utopia. He's kind of been touring with it for a couple of years. Now he has brought it to Broadway. It's been sitting there for a few weeks, and I think it's going for a while longer. Should you go to see American Utopia on Broadway? That'll be part of what I'll be talking about on our Inside Broadway segment on Dave's Gone By today. Also, going to do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we go to Eagle, Colorado. This is where every week we make a really horrible limerick, a short poem about a place, town, or municipality in Colorado where Joyce and I were living for about 9.5 years. And I tell a little bit about the town, and then I say something really raunchy and disgusting about it in poetic form. So this week it will be Eagle, Colorado for our Limerick of the Damned. And let's see what else we're going. Oh, of course, our Today, Yesterday quiz. So this is kind of a fun trivia quiz where you play against my cousins, Cynthia and Jeff, and try to guess what happened on this date, December 21st, in history all those years ago. So before we get to any of that, and if there's some time, we may do a little story time or talk some more. Oh, great,
but
thank
I don't
God.
know why it's black on the other one.
I don't know. I really don't know either. Joyce is having
Normally you appear here.
Yeah, I know that. I couldn't begin to tell you what happened on your Facebook thing. Stuff happens. What can I tell you? Yeah. Anyway, shall we get to our other segment, though? One that we've been doing for a few years now. Because Joyce and I were living in northern Colorado, the newspaper where, oh my God, did I lose that? Oh, here it is. The newspaper where we were living is the Greeley Tribune. Lovely little paper. Notice, I still absolutely love this headline here. This is the front page of the paper from months ago. All the ways a tree can kill you. And then you actually... And what's funny is I did not even think of this when I was talking about the cousin or the uncle with a knife in the table. This just back of the mind came to front of consciousness, and here's the image. But anyway, here's our local newspaper. It does regular news for Colorado, but also there are two special columns in every issue. One of them is called Cop Log, and these are phone calls that come into the Weld County, Greeley, Evans area police departments from people who are saying, oh my God, this is happening, or this is happening to me. And usually they need more help than they could possibly know. So there's a fellow there, Mike Peters, who compiles those, or used to compile them, into a column called Cop Log. Now Joe Moylan takes care of that for the Tribune. But our friend Mike Peters, he still does another column for the Trib called 100 Years Ago. And he goes through the newspapers in 1919, and he finds the most goofy, funny, weird, nostalgic items that were in the paper 100 years ago, and he shares them with modern readers. So we conflate both of those columns that are in the Greeley Tribune, and we do that.
That background, look how nice it looks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can see it right here on my thing. Yeah.
Compare it to like last week.
Oh, well, yeah.
Look.
Well, last week was very plain. This is very festive. It's the holiday. I should do it for 3.5 weeks, or I should start doing this right before Halloween.
You could leave it up until we rip it and it fades away.
Yeah, we could do that too. But right now, let's rip into Greeley Crimes and Old Times. La la da da, fiddly indeed we, squiddly do. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We do enjoy this.
Go down and get my cereal. I'm hungry.
Quite a lot. No, I thought you were going to eat later.
I will eat later.
Okay, here we go.
I gotta go to the gym.
But it's about 25 to 10 Eastern time. A perfect time to begin Greeley Crimes and Old Times right here on this episode of the program. Are you ready, babe? Are you ready for some criminality and some old-timality?
I'm ready.
Police responded to a gas station.
Where's the dingalinger? Where's the?
Wouldn't you like to know? Oh, it's not attached. It fell out.
I think it fell out.
Oh no! Oh no! Please don't use that. Use a spoon. I'll get you the. That'll be fine.
Okay, hold on.
That's fine. Police responded to a gas station on 22nd Street for a man swinging jumper cables above his head and yelling at passersby.
It's a rodeo.
I think we may have done this one last week, but why do you think he was doing that?
It's a rodeo.
That could be.
Because he's applying for Chippendales.
Because this was not during the Greeley Stampede time, however.
He's a mutton buster.
No, basically he was just trying to get someone to help him jump his car.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's actually good someone called police, because police can help a man jump his car, you know?
We have a thing called a cell phone where you call somebody.
I know. Well, maybe. Have you ever had that issue where you can't get cell service on T-Mobile? Like half the time?
You just go into a store. Now it has 5G.
What does that mean?
5G network.
Well, yeah. Oh, somebody has a new telephone. One of us has this really hinky.
Yeah, that's from school. It's from school. It's
okay, but still, I've got the old phone that said where T-Mobile service just gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
No. T-Mobile now has 5G.
So what does that mean? It's gotten better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are you getting it everywhere when you walk somewhere?
Of course.
Okay, good. Wish I were. Police responded to 9th Avenue to speak with a man.
Where'd you do with your ringer, your dingalinger?
And this is here. You want the noises?
I need the dingalinger. Okay.
Oh, you need the. Okay, police responded to 9th Avenue to speak with a man who claimed there was a stranger in the trunk of his car.
You did these before.
I did that one too?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
You did, remember? And it was a stranger in the car.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And then they wanted police to get the guy out of his car trunk, right?
You're right. Whoops. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's our. We will have a chicken. I hope we have a chicken alert sometime. I think I did that one last week too. How about police? Oh yeah, this is a good one. Police responded to a gym on 23rd Avenue, although I think they may have called him James. Police responded to a gym. They talked to a resident who had a lead about a human trafficking ring.
Woo!
The caller told police she returned to her car. What?
Toot toot, beep beep.
Now check this out. This is scary right here.
Okay.
Oh, they're starting them young.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's easier to transport the babies.
The caller told police she returned to her car to find a sticky note from a business offering hail damage repair. The caller thought that was suspicious and more likely tied to human trafficking.
What? Okay.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because
if I get a note about hail damage on my car,
you think it's human trafficking.
Yeah, it's a cover for white slavery.
That makes no sense to me. Well, because in Colorado, there's hail damage every other day.
Yes, basically.
Your building, your car, your pets, your granny, everybody gets hail damaged.
Maybe they're actually trying to steal Granny.
I don't think so. I think that person needs some TLC. That's
Basically,
disturbing.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's go for something old-timey, though.
Oh, God.
The annual Lincoln Park, and you can tell how many... there have been times on this show where we don't have enough of these, and now we've got a glut from the past few weeks, which is great. So put your minds back to Thanksgiving. The annual Lincoln Park Turkey Trot was last night. Wait a minute, didn't I? We did this one last week.
Why are you repeating them?
I don't know.
You're having a brain aneurysm.
Great, thanks, dear.
And you lost your dingalinger.
Let's see.
Where's your dingalinger?
In a football game characterized by much fumbling, holding. Oh, we need this for Hanukkah. Oh, there we go. So down there like that. Yeah, this is the height of sartorial Chanukia splendor, my friends. In a football game characterized by much fumbling, holding, illegal high tackles, and general looseness on both sides, Eton beat the Boulder Preps by a score of 7-0. And by the way, General Looseness did fight valiantly for the South in the Civil War. Just so you know. Oh, great, you found it. Yay. Oh, so you just mentioned the grandmother. Let me tell you that Granny Hannitz has a special tire sale tomorrow. The prices will make auto owners sit up and take notice. Oh, that Granny Hannitz.
I like that.
Described as, quote, unsolvable, unfathomable, and impenetrable, the motion picture The 13th Chair is now playing at the Rex Theater in Greeley. Prices are 11 cents and 25 cents, including the war tax. How would you like to see a movie that's unsolvable, unfathomable, and impenetrable, dear? Sounds like every woman I've ever dated. But ow, she's hurting me, oh, she's hiding, yeah. Oh, with the pain and the glaving and the hay. Police responded to Alpine, here we go.
Oh, you lost one of your slats. One of your slats is missing.
Oh, no. Oh.
You can't get, what do you expect from a dollar store, right? Okay.
Okay. Here, let me show the people that a slat is gone. Oh, no.
First you lost your dingling, now you lost your slat.
That's what happens when men get older.
Okay, I'm doing the call.
All right, here we go. Let's get through some of these. Greeley police responded to 28th Avenue for a report of a naked man walking down the middle of the street. The caller told, this is great, caller told Well County dispatchers she slowed down as she was driving by the man. I'm sure she did. He threw up his hands as if to say, what? And kept walking. It kind of makes me wonder. Get the noise ready.
Okay.
Hold it. So she passes slowly by the naked man, throws up her hands, goes, what? Do you think she had her flashers on? Okay, flashers. Okay. That's comedy right there. It sure is, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and speaking of which, police responded to a hotel on 7th Street for
my ringer got stuck in.
Oh no! For a naked man walking in the hallway.
Maybe it's the same guy.
Well, hotel staff did not want the man removed. They just needed help. Why? From the officers, helping the poor guy find his room. Well, think about it. You're in a hotel.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. So if you say, okay, my name is John Smith, then they go down to the desk and the computer and they can type in John Smith. He probably got locked out of his room when he was.
Maybe he was really drunk.
Yeah.
I guess. So he couldn't remember what number. He wouldn't remember his name.
So when I lived in the dorm with Nihal, there was a guy who used to always get drunk or high.
Yeah.
And Nihal's room was right near the kitchen. So he knew he lived near the kitchen, but he didn't live on our floor. He lived on another floor.
Right.
So he constantly would try to get into Nihal's room because he knew he lived near the kitchen, but he didn't know what floor.
Right. At least that was his excuse.
And then somebody said people got so mad at him, they held him outside the dorm by his ankles out a window because they were so mad at him. But I don't know. I think he had a backstory we didn't know about. But Nihal used to call me and say, okay, the guy's knocking on my door again, trying to get in, trying to get in the door. call the RA, call
Yeah.
the, you know.
Yeah, well, absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
Let's do some more old times. We're doing Greeley Crimes and Old Times, by the way, on Dave's Gone By. Welcome, by the way, to Jake and Jeffrey and Trevor from my old radio station, and Reggie and Kim and Frank and Leeson. What a wonderful name, Leeson. Welcome to all of you. You're watching Dave's Gone By live on this Saturday morning, December 21st, 2019. Here's an advertisement. For only 30 cents per bottle, you can purchase Gilbert's Rosamel Toilet Cream. I shall repeat that. Gilbert's Rosamel Toilet Cream at Gilbert Drugstore. The toilet cream, apparently, is the best protection for your face against the harsh autumn winds. Huh?
David, why would you put toilet cream on your face? Oh, I wanted to tell you that
Yeah, louder. Yeah.
I pass a Totoro company every time I go to somewhere in the city. Yeah.
What do you mean a Totoro company?
Toto, the toilet.
Oh, Toto!
Yeah,
Oh, you mean Toto toilets? Yeah. We had, that was one of our earliest guests on the show. We had a
Yeah.
representative of Toto Toilets, the Japanese company, and the very cool things that sort of automatically flush, and they give you a little douche water as you're getting up off the seat, and it blow dries you. I was hoping that they would kind of sponsor the show and give me a free toilet, but that did not happen. It was still quite beautiful. They didn't even give me a jar of toilet cream.
Ugh,
I would have
That's
liked
disgusting.
Well,
It's like toilet water. I know my grandmother used to say toilet water. I just thought it was disgusting.
I know, right? I used to get hours of laughter as a
What is it?
child.
Eau de toilette.
Eau de toilette.
Ugh,
I'm like, eau de toilette. Is it, do you use the water after you've made in it?
it's disgusting.
I know, but beautiful in its way. Let's do another crime. Police responded to a gas station on 2nd Avenue for an extremely intoxicated man with a face tattoo,
Yeah.
hitting himself in the face with a phone book,
Wow.
and generally making people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it.
Yeah. I guess his number was up.
He needed some eau de toilette.
He certainly did. You know, and people saw him, and it finally took him. One person called him on it. Get a little phone book joke.
It's terrible.
I know. A Greeley resident called police saying he just saw a man on 24th Street who looked like he needed help.
Okay.
Dispatchers asked the caller to describe the man.
Yeah.
He said, quote, "He looks Ukrainian or Chinese, or maybe a little bit of both."
That's racism much?
Well, because I know I get those confused all the time.
I'm Balkan. Do I look Chinese to you?
No.
Okay.
But wait, actually, the Ukraine, is that the area where they might actually have Asian
Well, they
features?
probably think like with Mongolian blood, but that, I mean, come on, that's so racist.
Yeah. And it's not nice to make fun of Mongoloids, really. It's just,
Like, what? These, I don't know how people can call in. I would not want to be the one answering that phone.
it might be fun to collect all these things, because as the Greeley Tribune does,
Yeah.
and we goof on them on Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Police responded to a fast food restaurant on 10th Street.
Oh, where's my dinger?
I beg your pardon? For a customer who was belligerent about an order. The customer who was wearing, check this out. No, it wasn't a Chinese restaurant, ladies and gentlemen. No, this customer was wearing a uniform from a rival fast food eatery, specializing in, and I love the way the Greeley Tribune puts this, and this is modern times here.
Okay.
This is how they put it in the newspaper. And I guess maybe I don't know if it's the Tribune that's doing this, or if they had to do this for the police log. I imagine the police log is verbatim, and then they've got to take away identifiers. But this customer was wearing a uniform from a rival fast food eatery that specializes in, quote, fried food from the bluegrass state.
Oh my God.
This is the euphemism that they're using.
Oh, someone's mad.
Oh, there we go. That is an angry chicken right there. What could you be mad about, chicken? I know. Fried food from the bluegrass state could really mean only one thing. White Castle.
Give us this.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, isn't that beautiful right there? Yeah. Practice for your wedding night. Okay. Anyway, here we go. The customer was apparently upset that the order wasn't made her way. I don't know. What can I tell you? I just read them, folks. Now, we were talking about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some Bulgarians, shall we? We shall. 10 Bulgarian residents of the town of Puritan in Weld County were caught playing craps in a house there.
Wow.
And they were all around. I guess they were playing in their toilet water when they're playing with craps.
Yeah.
They were all arrested for gambling. Each was fined $50. 9 of the 10 had last names ending in off. Check this out. Nikov, Likov, Vesilov, Georgiov, Stanov, Vaitov, Kumov, Petrov, and Ivanov. Well, I get the feeling that Likov and Kumov had a special relationship, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe, yeah.
And by the way, this is the beauty part. The 10th man arrested was Eptronis Gijen. Eptronis Gijen,
I think
arrested 100 years ago for gambling.
he was from a different part of the country.
Yeah, he wasn't in Bulgaria, the cool part of Bulgaria. He was in sort of the south side of Bulgaria, near the baseball field. Anyway, word has been received that Mr. and Mrs. E. Woods have established a newspaper in Lamont, Oklahoma.
Oh, good.
The Woodses previously owned the Kersey Mail and the Milliken Midget.
Oh, what is that?
I repeat that they owned a newspaper back in the day called the Milliken Midget. I guess it must have been, get your noises ready, dear. Sounds to me like that was a small press. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and they couldn't use their computers last week because they had a short. Yeah. I should mention also that in Eton, Ms. McPherson showed off her new carpets. One was made from old stockings, the other from silk dresses, petticoats, and neckties. Wow. I will say that since she is an old-fashioned girl, her carpets do match her drapes, just so we know. Thank you very much. Let's see. Do you want a crime or an old time? Because we're nearing the end of the segment.
Whatever you want. You're in charge.
I'm in charge, okay. How about, since we're nearing the holidays, since we're a day away from Hanukkah, what is perhaps the greatest story ever? Maybe the greatest story we've ever done. You ready for this? Are you ready for this? I think you are. Police responded to an apartment on 24th Street for an attempted break-in. Okay. The caller told police okay. The caller told police she noticed her dustpan moving back and forth in front of her door. All right. So picture this: her dustpan, like a dust, like that goes with a broom.
Oh yeah.
Moving back and forth.
Maybe she was watching Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, there's more. There's more, dear.
Oh, no.
The woman told police that she, quote, invented a fart gun.
wait. Do we have a fart sound? Hold on.
We used to have one. Oh, they don't have the fourth? No, the little cloud. Look for the cloud one. Maybe it's not on this one.
On this one.
Oh. All right, I'll make the noise then. So remember, to recap.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, okay, that's good enough. That'll do. Yeah. So, She sees the dustpan moving back and forth in front of her door. But it's okay, because this woman told police she invented a fart gun to provide added protection to her home. The caller's husband then got on the phone and insisted that Greeley police installed security cameras at their apartment to see the fart gun in action.
Wow.
Police recommended the couple invest in a chain lock to better secure their home.
And maybe some good psychotropic meds.
Well, you know what? Maybe the dustpan moving back and forth was just wind. Oh, the wind stories we break on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we like to give them an airing. Wrecked him, I nearly killed him. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I love that. I do love that. And finally, police responded to 36th Avenue for a grandson who, quote, was drunk and being a jerk all day. Basically sounds like my life. Ladies and gentlemen, that is, of course, Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday, December 21st, 2019, here on Dave's Gone By.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
But he is getting at his best. Mr. Greeley was no fool. Yippee-yi, 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 yi-yi, yippee, yippee.
Yes, you are watching and listening to Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. We've got Roy Adom with us with his candles ready. This is how he saunters into an old-time Western saloon. Looks around. Yeah. Got his hand on the drawer. Because if they're going to have a menorah, he's going to be able to whip it out and as needed to light those candles on Hanukkah, ladies and gentlemen. And we also, of course, have someone who does not like Hanukkah very much, Potato, for fairly obvious reasons. Doesn't want to get too close to those candles on the menorah. Smells those latkes frying. Is his version of Shoah, essentially, is Hanukkah. But we are very grateful, first of all, to be able to do this program as we have been doing since October of 2002. Someone who's been with us since that very, very first episode are our sponsors at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. The Torong family has owned and operated Hewlett Minuteman since the mid-1970s, as a matter of fact. Miles and Carlene Torong, they took over the franchise. Miles passed away a couple of years ago. Carlene still works with her sons, running Hewlett Minuteman Press right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. They're across the street from that giant Petco there. They're also in that sort of mini strip mall. There's a great chocolate candy store there, and then a card store nearby, and clothing stores. So it's really easy to get to. It's about 2.5 blocks from the Long Island Railroad Station. But why should you patronize Hewlett Minuteman Press? And I don't mean put them down, and I don't mean make them feel like they're less than what they are. I mean patronize in a good way. Why should you go there for your copying and printing and binding needs? Because, what happened?
I sat on something in my foot.
They do their work for reasonable prices with good turnaround times. They're great people to work with, whether you're doing single-sided black and white copies, double-sided color copies, copies on special paper, long giant paper, but they do so much more than that. They will put your logo, your image, your design on pretty much anything at this point. Clothing, sporting apparel, calendars, big banners, balloons, you name it. If you want to get your company name, your logo out there to the world, Hewlett Minuteman Press can help you do that. And they're also known for holiday cards, this is the time, or wedding invitations. And they've been doing it, as I said, for decades now. Plus, if you tell them Dave sent you from Dave's Gone By, you get 10% off any job, big or small. So why not give them a call? 516-569-5577. Area code 516-569-5577. They're open until noon, today. They're going to have special weird hours over the holidays the next couple of weeks, but they're generally open 5.5 days a week right there in Hewlett, 516-569-5577. Minuteman Press in Hewlett. They are the Copy Kings. And I do feel like king of the world when I do this radio podcastio programmio of the stream. Excuse me. Here on Dave's Gone By. Every week, I want to tell you a little bit more about the show before we get to Inside Broadway and the other stuff that we're going to be doing. As a matter of fact, maybe we'll do, since you're still here until about when? When do you have to go?
10:30.
Oh, fantastic. We'll do story time first.
Minutes, yeah.
But before we get to story time.
David, I just got incredibly sleepy.
Oh, excuse me for trying to keep you awake with comedy. My wife has to listen to me day in, day out. So hearing me, a couple of hours a week on Saturdays is like, oh, he's talking again. Oh, wonderful.
I love you. I don't see you that much. I love you. Very attractive.
My wife says she loves me. Okay, she has to. We've been married 22 years, but she says like I'm very attractive. So what happens when she sleeps? I give her lots of alcohol. So she's always walking around in a complete stupor, and she looks at me through beer goggles, no matter what. Plus, I give her opioids, so she looks at me through opioid goggles, which really helps a lot. To her, I look like Idris Elba, essentially.
Idris Elba? No, you look very cute. I like you. You're a nice man.
Well, thank you, dear. Well, thank you. And this nice man has been doing Dave's Gone By.
Will you go to the gym for me instead of me?
No.
Please.
If you wait until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I could do it, but
no.
Or do you have your trainer today, or you're just going?
Trainer.
Oh, so yeah.
I'm trying to build my bones.
Joyce has to build her bones up, so I can jump her bones later, which will be a lot of fun. That'll be my kind of holiday, if you know what I'm saying. And I think you do. Look at it. I do have handsome teeth, thanks to your dentist years ago.
Handsome teeth?
They're not all real, but I do have some really nice chocolate. Anyway, Dave's Gone By started on terrestrial radio.
Wow.
Trevor knows this. Back in October of 2002.
Oh my God.
11 o'clock at night on this commercial Long Island radio station.
Saturday or Sunday was a weekend.
Probably was Sunday night. 11 o'clock, and then after a couple of months, God bless them, they let me take like a Monday night, and we did an hour and a half for a while. And then we bounced back and forth to different times.
I like the energy. It was fun because, remember, Eddie
that was the
and
one
the
we first started,
Moonshiners, like they would hand instruments, and then Paul would be struggling to like put tapes in, and the machinery wouldn't work. He was always trying to piece things together.
It was nuts. It was a crazy little $1.98 radio station.
WKRP in was it Babylon or Freeport first?
Well, it wasn't KRP, but we'll use those later. But it went for the first. That's weird. For about a couple of weeks, it was in Freeport, Long Island, where it had been since the 1920s.
Remember that bar where the food was disgusting?
Yes. Like
you'd go there and you're like, maybe a French fry, and it all tastes horrible.
Well, because they were using motorcycle grease to actually cook the food.
It was horrible.
Yeah. But then they moved to Babylon, Long Island, which was a big pain in the ass for me, because I was coming from southern Nassau. But still, it was a nicer spot for them. And it was there for many years. And then was no longer there. Then we did the show on the internet for a while, then moved to Colorado and did the show for 7 or 8 wonderful years on the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado, where I began the show as we know it today. I expanded it. We did our 3 hours on Saturday morning, did a lot of the segments that we're still doing. I was playing music there that I can't really play anymore because of Facebook and YouTube rules. Yeah. Copyright. So if I play more than 12 seconds of a song.
David, remind me, I want to return the dog's ear cleaner.
Return the dog's ear cleaner. We'll do it today. Yeah. So anyway, all of them, what I'm trying to tell you, though, is if you're curious about the history of the program, like we've got someone here, Naomi and Lisa, and at least I've seen these names before, but I'm sure every week we get new people tuning in who are checking out the show for the first time. They just see me on Facebook. Someone else has told them about the show, which is quite wonderful, right? Or they're coming here from LinkedIn or other places that we let people know, hey, new episode of Dave's Gone By today. So they don't know the history of the program, the in-jokes, the stuff that we've been doing, not just for a couple of months, but for years on end. And I want to let you know that if you go to davesgoneby.com, our official website, davesgoneby.com, the archives are there. You can listen to our very first episode, all 57 minutes of it, or our 157th show, our 357th, our 657th show. Virtually, out of every show that we ever did, we lost a couple to technical difficulties over the years, but generally out of the 724 previous episodes of Dave's Gone By, we have about 720 logged and there as both downloads, they're MP3s, and you can podcast them or just stream them on your computer, and they are all, I swear to you, at davesgoneby.com, absolutely free. Thousands of hours of Dave delightness. Delightfulness. Thank you very much. Right there on the website, and we even have a separate archive there if you're just interested in a lot of the interviews that we've done. For example, Rabbi Saul Solomon will be talking to Marty Brounstein in about an hour from now about his book, Two Among the Righteous Few. Well, Marty is just the latest in a hugely long line of guests that we've had on this program. Some pretty famous people, and most important to me, quite a few dead people at this point. I mean, they were alive when we talked to them, but people like Carol Channing and folks like Charlotte.
Awesome, yeah.
She was great. Charlotte Ray, late Charlotte. Who else?
Girls.
Oh my gosh, Joe Franklin was on this show.
People.
Yeah, folks who it's actually more important to me now that we talk to them when they were. Julie Wilson, the cabaret performer, right? These are folks, they're in our archives. So although they are no longer with us, we got to talk to them about their careers and their lives and what they were doing 5, 10, 15, 17 years ago. And yes, we have, thank God, hundreds of folks that we've talked to on the show who are still alive and well and working. If you listen to our Friends of the Daverhood segment later on today, we catch up with them and we say, hey, what's new? But so there's that mix of both, and it's so important to me.
Is probably the most prolific.
We have an Austin Pendleton alert because he tends to be doing something. Yeah,
he should just tweet it out.
And very well-known people, a lot of musicians, a lot of actors, a lot of playwrights and directors. Chicken we sometimes have on the show. So the main thing is, I'm driving you to davesgoneby.com. In fact, I brought my Subaru right here. I'll drive you there right now. davesgoneby.com. davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to drop me an email or message me right here on our Facebook page. Facebook page is Dave's Gone By. So it is Hanukkah, almost tomorrow. Holiday time. I think it's time that we tell a little bit of story, because it's been a while since we've done story time on the show. And do you want to explain? Why don't you explain what story time is, how that came about? Because I always tell this story about the gas station.
David was getting something done to our car at a gas station, and they had a book from 1902 about Hans, a little German kid who needed to work a slave labor on a farm to get a cow to feed his family.
Right.
And I think that David enjoyed that so much, he picked other stories, like my least favorite, Why Fish Fart, which I think was neither instructive as to why fish fart or anything. And then what else were the stories? What other stories did you read?
There was Little Bill, a Bill Cosby
book. That was problematic as well.
Yes. What else did we do? My gosh. It was so many. It's been about 3-4 years since we've been doing them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what other books that we did. Rabbi Saul Solomon, whom you're going to see momentarily.
Yes. The rabbi enjoys telling stories.
Very different holiday book, but he did this book.
The Laws of Pesach.
Yeah. Oh, there's a happy book.
Mm.
So every week we try, we've missed a couple of weeks now, but I think in honor of the holiday, let's bring in Rabbi Saul Solomon for a little Hanukkah fun. Oh boy, shalom, goddammit. Shalom, everybody. It's me, Rabbi Saul. It is Jew time. Wait, what happened? Why is it not? Oh, God, hold on. Let me find. I need music for this. Son of a bitch. Wait, let's just do story time. This'll do.
Here, Rabbi.
Tell me a story.
Where's the Torah? I need the Torah.
You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
Doy, Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so Dave has kindly asked me in honor of the Hanukkah holiday that is imminently approaching. And, if you've met imminently, you know how he approaches in a very strange way. So we thought to make up for the sadness that our friend Potato feels around this time of year. What are you putting on my head there? What is Potato, of course, Hanukkah is a problematic holiday for potatoes because of all the things that happen to them. I thought that I would make him feel a little bit better.
Look, Rabbi, one of your wing-wings came off.
Oh no, oi. This, the miracle of Judaism. Don't even go there.
I gotta glue your wing-wing on.
That's what she said. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Look at this lovely book we're going to be doing on Storytime. No Small, you know what, by Junius G. Groves. And it's not by him, it's about him. Yes, that came from work as well. Our boss brought those in. Okay. No Small Potatoes. Are you excited about this? Are you thrilled?
Don't ruin this. We have to glue it back on.
Oh, Jewish Daddy. Oh, I'm excited about this. This looks like it's going to be a fun book. Oh, yes. All right. As Peter Falk would say, as you wish. Here we go. No Small Potatoes, the story of Junius Groves and his kingdom in Kansas by Tonya the hell's her name? Tonya Bolden and Don Tate, or as we like to call him, Don Tater, all things considered. Here we go. Let us read this delightful book. Let's watch him. I cannot. This is shameful behavior here, but festive, isn't it? Notice here, the man, he's doing the crop. He's got bags of potatoes, no small potatoes. Here's the thing. All right, we've seen it. Let's move forward, shall we? To the farmers of America. That's the dedication.
Rabbi Salving of Blue.
Dedicated to the memory of my hardworking grandpa, William H. Thomas.
David, do you have glue, Rabbi?
Isn't he on the Supreme Court? I don't have glue at the moment. Here we go. Look. Oh, they love this. They love this already. 1 potato, 2 potato, 30, 11 million potatoes. Well, I guess they didn't teach black people math back then. Is that how many potatoes Junius George Groves grew? Did he grow them in his grove? Or did he grow them in his brew? How many millions of potatoes did this man grow? Let's find out. Not 11 million precisely.
Look at your
But Julie, what did you do to me? Oh, this is sweet. I like this. Junius G for short. He sure grew piles and piles of spuds. I make piles and piles of spuds when I don't eat well. So many that he was crowned the Potato King, a legend known far and wide. Folks were doubly amazed when they heard about Junius G's bleak beginnings in the bluegrass state. What, a Schwartz having trouble in Kentucky before the turn of the century? Go figure.
Another bluegrass reference.
Bluegrass. Why? What was our first bluegrass reference?
Restaurant, the KFC.
That's right, the bluegrass state. He had no crown. He had no.
Show them the pictures.
What? Well, all right. Here we go. Look, they're very sad. Poor couple, although they're very happy to have a baby. I don't know why they have no eyes.
No, they're closed. Their eyes are closed down.
Oh, okay. I guess they're mimicking potato eyes.
Yes.
Because they don't have real visible eyes in this shot here. They have no crown, no kingdom, not an inch of ground. When baby Junius first laid his eyes on the world, he had nothing to call his own.
Oh.
Legally, not even himself. It was his political book.
Slavery, they were slaves.
Yeah, he was born into slavery on a plantation near Greensburg, Kentucky. Greensburg sounds Jewish to me, I don't know. Thank goodness Junius didn't stay in slavery for a long, long time. He was young when freedom came and America abolished slavery in late 1865. And he didn't stay in the bluegrass, smart man. He left Kentucky in 1879 when he was about 20. And he took part in an ever-growing exodus. Oh, exodus, there's a Jewish thing too.
Exodus movement of people.
Moving of Schwarzer people. He He had a great going out, a great going away. Quote, I worked around for planters here and there, and managed to pick up a little reading and figuring. He was figuring in the schoolhouse, as were lots of children by priests, in a log schoolhouse in Columbia, Kentucky. That was him in 1905 saying this. From Kentucky, Tennessee, and other southern states, tens of thousands of people, most of them country folk, and a host with youngsters in tow. So if you can fit your youngster into a tow, I would need at least a whole foot.
That's painful.
They shook the dust from their feet. They were called, oh, wow. Do you know what they were called? This is not a joke. It is a pun.
Potato hustlers?
Close. These people
Spuds?
were leaving, and they shook the dust from their feet.
Oh, Dust Bowl.
Exodusters. I'm not making that up. They were exodusters.
Oh, I like that because they're leaving.
Right, and they're dusting, they got dusty feet from running away. This is good.
Now they're called Swiffers.
Exo-Swiffers, that's right. With hearts hugging hope. Oh, God, that's horrible alliteration right there. Clutching dreams of bountiful lives. So they're carrying bounty paper towels as well.
Wow.
Exodusters went west to the plains. How come everybody goes to the plains and not the fancies? I don't know. Land was plentiful there, they heard. For many, that place of promise was Kansas, the sunflower state.
I wouldn't go to Kansas.
Why don't you go to Kansas? What's wrong with Kansas? What Kansas ever do to you? Except play that stupid song, Dust in the Wind.
Yes.
It was Exodust in the Wind. All we do is looking for a place to plant potatoes. We're not Jews, 'cause they eat their latkes with tomatoes.
Not really.
No, we don't.
Applesauce.
Exodusters make breaking wind. All we do is break a lot of wind. All right, here we go. Exodusters were journeying by steamboat, by train, in bumpity-bump ox carts.
Bumpity bump.
It's like the Long Island Railroad. In wide-wheeled wagons.
That would be an improvement over the Long Island Railroad.
Some of those keen on Kansas put down roots in new towns like Nicodemus. Potato's falling asleep here. I guess he doesn't like the story so much. Others settled in or near Topeka and Kansas City. Now, both of these burgs were along the Kansas River, also known as the Kaw.
You look like you have a distorted twin head.
So the Kaw went out, and they went to the Kansas City River, which they called the Kaw.
The Kaw?
Kaw, not the Kaw, the Kaw.
Kaw?
As for the Exoduster Junius G, they say he walked to Kansas more than 500 miles working odd jobs along the way. And how odd did they get? Junius ended his journey in the Great Kaw Valley, which is part of Kansas City. It was bound by an oxbow bend in the Kaw. What is an oxbow?
Oxbow's like...
So it's how oxen play violin?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. This place was soon called Armourdale, and there
This is very boring of all this. Could you just...
yes. You know why?
Why?
Because he finally landed a job. You know where?
Potato factory?
Yes, potato farm. Not factory, a farm.
Whoa.
For a lowly 40 cents a day.
That's more than we make.
Worth every penny. Junius G, it's more than I make in my job. Junius G could so easily have pitied himself over his piddling pay. Oh, this person's addiction to alliteration is pissing me off.
They're not good alliterations. Please, let's write them.
But he did not pity himself over his piddling pay.
Pourquoi?
Why not? Instead, he made up his mind just to work hard. I'm sure he pitied himself too. A few months later,
No, he wasn't Jewish.
He got a raise to 75 cents a day. That's actually a very nice percentage raise that time. And he kept working hard, hard.
I think he joined the Potato Pickers Union.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
He did. He did. Jimmy Spudder was the guy in charge of that. But actually, the guy he worked for, J.T. Williamson, made him foreman of the farm.
We have a
He was hoping to
foreman.
be a fireman.
We have a foreman.
You do?
Yeah.
What, you mean in your job?
No, and we have a George Foreman Grill.
Oh, that's true. With that came another raise, 50 more cents a day. Oh, this guy's doing very well.
Hey, you face the camera so people can see you, Rabbi.
Now, 5 years before this, or several years, Junius says, it was several weeks before I could get work on a farm, And when I finally did secure a place, it was almost at starvation wages. This was better than being 40 cents a day. This was better than being forced to roam the streets and beg. So I gladly accepted the offer, determined to work my way up to better things by keeping my eyes open, always attending to duty. And you have to attend to your duty or else the toilet gets really messy. And doing more rather than less that was required. I'll hold this down here. Was required of me. I soon succeeded in having my wages raised. Still, he wanted more, and not just more money. He dreamed of farming for himself, but lacking the bucks to buy land, he did the next best thing. He rented land from J.T. Williamson, 9 acres, and supposedly a mule, because here he does have the acres and a mule.
40 acres and a mule of operations, yeah. For
use of the land, his tools, and his team, he agreed to pay J.T. with a share of the crops. So he got to keep the money, just to give some of his potatoes away. He planted white potatoes. Even then, black guy had white potatoes at that day, on 1/3 of those 9 acres of land.
What did he do with the other 2/3?
I think he built a whorehouse. He was no fool. Who needs potatoes? Everybody made potatoes, but good whores, hard to come by. In time, Junius G was renting 20 acres and 66 acres, growing more and more spuds. Yay! And he kept hoping for a farm of his own. Hoping alongside him was Matilda Stewart, the woman he married a year after he reached Kansas. I think they maybe had to get married. It was one of those things. Just like Julius.
Did they have a spud in the oven?
Oh, God. Maybe. Well, she did call him a masher a couple of times.
Oh.
But Matilda was no lazy bones. She didn't hiccup.
I heard there was a lot of fingerling.
Not even going there. She didn't hiccup and holler at the these alliterations, God damn it. She did not hiccup and holler at the hint of hard work.
Make them have a drinking game. Every alliteration, people should drink some.
We're going to turn this now into a drinking game. Get your Manischewitz wine out, or your Kedem if you make a little more money. And every time we have an alliteration of more than 3 words, and that is terrible, you get to have a drink, a shot of wine, as we read this No Small Potatoes book here. Okay, get ready, because this may happen a lot. With Matilda, his steady, sturdy helpmate, only 2. Only 2.
Oh, steady, sturdy spouse.
Yeah, right? Julius worked hard day after day, dawn to dusk. Come true dark, the couple slept away a day's weary in a one-room shack. Now, you may find yourself living in a one-room shack in another part of the world, and you ask yourself, is this Matilda my helpmate?
And is this my shack?
Letting the spuds grow high.
Yes, in New York City, that shack would be $1 million.
It'd be a closet thing in a one-room apartment.
Yeah.
Week after week, the couple put off purchasing trifles and trinkets. Oh my God, damn this person.
I hate alliterations in this book.
They only bought needful things so they could save up every spare dollar, dime and nickel, and every spare penny too. This money came from the crops they sold and other work they did on the side, like chopping firewood in winter to sell to the town folk. I'll bet they busted up a shipper robo too as well.
That's crazy.
All that working and saving up paid off.
Thank God.
In late 1884, he had his eye on 80 acres. And the girl next door, but we won't talk about that.
Well, that was her nickname, 80 acres.
That's right.
She'd been around a lot.
This land was east of Edwardsville,
Good.
near the mouth of the Kaw. Actually, it was abscessed in the mouth. It was painful. Its banks lined with cottonwood trees. We know those.
They're pretty.
Julius and Matilda had saved up $2,200. Whoa. I don't even have $2,200 goddamn dollars to my name. But those 80 acres near Edwardsville cost $3,600. What were they going to do about the $1,400 other dollars? Where was it going to come from? The wind? A cloud? Some magic tree?
The whorehouse.
No siree. And I'm not making that. You actually used the phrase no siree in this thing. It would come from hard work, which is what Junius believed when he handed over those $2,200. And he promised to pay off the balance within a year. Right quick, Junius went to work turning those 80 acres into a real farm. He had to build a small house, but even more daunting than that, was the back-straining, muscle-taxing task of clearing the land, because he had to dig up umpteen tree stumps, so many as to make for stepping stones up and down a field. And while Junius was doing all that, the top crop on his mind, potatoes!
I just said, what a story, and I put a whole bunch of potatoes in the feed.
Oh, yay. Oh, yay.
Uh-oh.
What? Uh-oh, what?
I don't know if I
What's the
stopped him.
uh-oh? But could he do it? Could he farm hard enough to pay off the money he still owed on those 80 acres in 1 year? If he didn't, he was liable to lose the land and those $2,200. He's got a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're going to leave Junius G there. So Hanukkah will still be here a week from now. So we will have the exciting, thrilling, creative, catastrophic, I don't know, I need a C word. Cantankerous, claw-filled conclusion of this marvelous book, No Small Potatoes.
No
by
small
Tanya
potatoes,
Bolden.
but too many alliterations.
By Tanya Bolden and Don Tate. I hope you are enjoying. I'm going to be back on this program in just about, 45 minutes with talking to, especially for the holiday, a man who has a Holocaust story to tell in his book, The Two Among the Righteous Few. You're going to want to hear the story all about these people, these nice Goyish people who helped save Jewish lives. So this is going to be really exciting. But until then, we got Dave coming back because he's got his Inside Broadway segment. He's got other things to do. You should keep watching the Dave's Gone By Programmio. And while we're doing that, let's hear some Chewy music. Hold on. Come on, where the hell? Where's the goddamn iTunes, goddammit? I don't know. Just give me a minute. This is so irritating. There, thank you for finding this. Now let's find Hanukkah and we're all good. Here it is.
Hanukkah, Jontef Hashener, a lustiger, freilicher, nicht da noch a Seiner, alle Nacht in Bredel spielen wir, so die Käse-Latkes essen wir, geschwinde, sind Kinder, die Hanukkah.
Actually, I found that I was Google surfing earlier to just find some Hanukkah music. That was no identifier. And yet I can tell right from that voice that, speaking of dead people who've been on this program, that was the late Theodore Bakel. Oh, wow. So again, if you want to go hear our interview with Theodore Bakel, kind of a major get back in the day, it's up there in our archives at davesgoneby.com. I didn't get a chance to tell you also that we've been putting our recent audio archives on a site called castbox.fm. Castbox, B-O-X, castbox.fm. And what's kind of cool about this site, is that it is for podcasting specifically and for downloading and listening audio only. You don't get the video on this. It's just for people who want to be on the go and listen at the gym or on the railroad or
I wonder if you can pull it into like a Spotify or something.
You must be able to put it on Spotify and other.
Is Spotify free now, right?
Spotify can be free. Spotify is free if you tolerate advertisements after every 3 songs.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll play about a minute and a half of ads that you can't fast forward through. You've got to hear them. But then if you tolerate the ads, millions of songs are at your fingertips. If you want to pay $10 a month, then they take away the ads.
So if you paid Spotify, if you played Spotify on Facebook, would they allow it because they're clearing the?
No. You can't play that kind of music on Facebook or YouTube either.
Maybe you need to get a children's choir to play it.
I hate children's choirs. Everybody hates children's choirs.
Even children.
Even children don't want to be in children's choir. They want to be playing Xbox or playing out in the street stickball or stoop ball.
Nobody plays stickball.
Nobody plays stickball anymore. No. Or whatever children do. The last thing they want to do is sit there in Glee Club going, oh. So, but they do. And then all the parents, they quail, they watch, and nobody wants to hear them. People want to watch the football game, for gosh sakes. Anyway, I don't know why I'm getting off on that rant. Because I get off on ranting. I'm Jewish. That's what I do. Welcome, by the way, to Andy and Glenn and Danny and Susanna and David. Hello, and Tom. Oh, the actor Tom. A man who was in a Broadway show about Bob Dylan, by the way.
I'm going to come back after the gym.
Okay, yeah. I'll be here. I'll be on doing the show. Joyce has to go. She's got to go to the gym. So she's going to miss Inside Broadway. She's probably going to miss our Colorado Limerick of the Damned as well. And all the other fun stuff that we do.
What's the town today?
The town that for our Limerick is Eagle.
Yeah, but I can listen to the show on your website.
On your phone.
Yeah.
That's right. While you're at the gym, well, you're going to be with a trainer, but if you go on the treadmill for a while, you can plug in. You can either watch me live or go to castbox.fm to hear an older show from the past year.
I can go on the Facebook.
Yeah. And plus, we've also been putting our episodes, video and audio, on this amazing website called archive.org. Archive.org. And they're just a repository for radio history. And some TV history too. But I mean, I've been listening to Gene Shepard shows on there. And I've been listening to, they don't have Stern or Dr. Demento, but they've got tons of old-time radio, National Lampoon radio hours there. I mean, it's just this amazing place to go to, archive.org. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I love the idea that when I'm dead, if nobody's maintaining my website, if other parts of me go away, hopefully,
like your vagina.
This site, if my vagina dries up and curls into a nothing, then still people can go to archive.org and they'd be looking for, hold on. Joyce and I are going to kiss. Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah. Thank you. With tongue. Have a good time at the gym, babe. So, people can go on that website. People go on archive.org and find me bumper to bumper with legends of Broadway. Henry Morgan, right? One assumes rambling with gambling and old cousin Brucey air checks as well. So it makes me feel like part of that radio continuum, even though I'm not technically on terrestrial radio at the moment. But either way, it's great to have you guys on Facebook every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts, as I do the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. So this is our 725th broadcast of the show on this Saturday, December 21st, 2019. We're calling the episode The Righteous Two in honor of our upcoming guest, Marty Brounstein, who will be here to talk about his book, Two Among the Righteous Few. That's coming up at about 11:15. We're excited about that. Until then, as promised, I've been an actor, a playwright, a director, a theater person for many, many years. So I do love talking about Broadway and the theater. And I do that every week in a segment that we like to call, not only do we like to call it that, we do call it Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Yes, Inside Broadway we go every Saturday here on Dave's Gone By. Just to, because if you want to know about movies, you know everything about all the movies that are coming out. Every commercial, every morning show, every late night chat show has guests from the movies that are happening. Film you know about, and music. If Jay-Z or Kanye West coughs, that makes TMZ. It makes every news broadcast. But theater, when a Hamilton comes along, of course you hear about that. But there's so much more going on and so much more I care about in the New York and American theater. So every week we try to give you a little update on important stuff and also review shows that I go to see in the theater. Now, it is a quiet time. I mean, we've gotten through the fall season on Broadway where all these shows open up from about mid-September through early November, and then it quiets down. You don't really get a lot happening until late February, early March, when the spring season rush comes in. But there's still some news to tell you. And then this is kind of, in the spirit of the season, and as I said when I opened the show, this is that rare time when I am in a festival seasonal mood, because at work they've been feeding us for free. So for once, I'm in a Christmassy, non-Scroogey feeling. And that's why I'm going to report this, that on February 26th, thanks to a deal with Madison Square Garden, Bill de Blasio, Scott Rudin, and the New York City Public School System, they're going to take To Kill a Mockingbird, the big hit $1 million plus per week Broadway show by Aaron Sorkin, adapting, of course, the book by Harper Lee. They're going to take it for one day out of its current Broadway theater, and they're going to plunk it down in Madison Square Garden. This is an enormous place. I assume they're going to mic it properly, or I don't know how they're going to make the set go. But they're going to take all the stars, Ed Harris, all the people who are currently in it, and do To Kill a Mockingbird in Madison Square Garden for 18,000 New York City public school students for free. Bring them to a theater, even though it's not technically a theater, it's Madison Square Garden. They're saying that this is the first ever Broadway show to be done in Madison Square Garden. I guess that's kind of true, although if we're being really technical, they have done musicals there. They did The Wizard of Oz there. They did a musical Christmas Carol there that was by Flaherty and Ahrens about a decade or so ago. But in terms of taking a Broadway show and plunking it down into Madison Square Garden, this is the first time. They're doing it just one afternoon. And as I said, they're doing it for, nobody's paying for it. So I'm sure, New York State is paying for it. Some stuff is coming out of Scott Rudin's pocket, because if you remember, he was not particularly beloved in the ramping up of To Kill a Mockingbird for Broadway, because he seemed very Scroogey and Grinchy in terms of not letting other versions of To Kill a Mockingbird be done all across the country. There was that other To Kill a Mockingbird by Christopher Sergel, a play that he wrote, 30, 40 years ago, that's been done institutionally everywhere. And suddenly Rudin is like, no, we're doing a new To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway, this new version by Aaron Sorkin. We don't want anything competing with that brand. So even if you already have the show on your season schedule, you can't do it. When we have the rights from the Harper Lee estate, that you can't do this, this, and this. So he ruffled a lot of feathers when he did that. He's tried and has been smoothing over those feathers. And he's turned out to be savvy like a fox, because To Kill a Mockingbird was this enormous hit last year, and has just been making money hand over fist. Anyway, so he's giving back, and it'll be on February 26th when all these 18,000 school kids will get to see To Kill a Mockingbird for free at Madison Square Garden. So that's kind of our happy holiday story for the week here on Dave's Gone By. Well, I was very happy to go see on Broadway this week. I thought I went and I grabbed the playbill for this, and yet I cannot find it, so I don't know where I put it. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can grab it. I would like to, but no. Oh, here. Ta-da. Ta-da. So it's been open a few weeks now, but I did this week. I actually bought a ticket to go see this, because lowly press people like me weren't invited to this one. But I heard so many good things about it. As a matter of fact, our friends, Friendy, who have been on this program a few times, especially when Joyce and I were back in Colorado, they saw this show on tour before it came to Broadway, and they said it was exceptional. They said that if you love David Byrne, it's not just a David Byrne talking heads kind of concert. There's more to it than that. And they're kind of right. It's very simply staged in a way. Everybody's wearing gray suits. So there isn't a lot of dynamic visually in terms of color. There's really no color in the show, but it is a show. And everything is quite choreographed, and that's kind of neat. And there's really great lighting pattern that they use. There's no video, there's no projections. There's none of that special, like, Kiss Live at the Felt Forum sort of stuff going on. What there is David Byrne, who looks I mean, he's this tall guy with every hair on his head. You know, look at me. I started losing my hair in my 30s. It's gone. This is never coming back. This is just the shine here all the way. You know, Jewish man's cranium here. David Byrne, he's got fluffy hair like he's 20-something years. He's got better hair now. If you remember him from the videos back when Talking Heads were happening or when they were playing at CBGBs and places like that, he just had like straight hair plastered on his head to look like a nerd that he was. Now, suddenly he's got this gorgeous white fluffy hair that shows up from the balcony. Lucky fella. Anyway, this is not about David Byrne's hair. It's about his music and his performance with these cohorts that he has on stage, who are all dressed alike, and very often they all march in patterns or march in different configurations together, so that there is visual interest. It's not just a band on stage playing with David Byrne just sort of being out front as the leader, kind of like Jagger and the Stones and things like that. They are a unit. They are in many ways a nice team, and they work together and they move together. And this is he actually tells us early in the show. He says, I want you to understand something. People have asked me, and they relentlessly ask, and journalists ask, are you using backing tracks? Are you using, because there's a big sound coming here off the stage, and sometimes not a lot of instruments. And yet it sounds very full. Are you using backing tracks, double vocals? Are there other instruments that are pre-recorded, even though we have live instruments, live singing? Is there some pre-recorded stuff? There's some sweetening going on. And he takes pains to show that no, everything you hear is being performed live right there on stage by him and by literally like 8 or 12 musicians. And what's kind of interesting and kind of fascinating to me and makes the show is that it isn't this thing where a band tours with 8 horn players and 2 violinists and this and that. It's Byrne, 1 bass player, a guitarist, someone playing the keyboard, and all these other half dozen to 10 people are just playing various kinds of percussion, from African sort of instruments to instruments from all over the world. But it's all about the beat. It's all about the rhythms and the polyrhythms. And it's exciting stuff very often. And the other great thing, the terrific thing about American Utopia is that it really is a greatest hits concert for Byrne and Talking Heads fans. So if you're afraid it's just going to be Byrne's solo work, which by the way is very underrated and very worth listening to. I was listening to it this week after I went to American Utopia, but yet you're going to hear Once in a Lifetime. And it's done really, really well. You're going to hear a song that never did much for me on an album called Slippery People, but that apparently is a big deal when he does it in concert. I get it now. It's the song in the first half hour that is the first one that really stops the show and brings everyone to their feet, because you can't not be dancing around and excited hearing him do Slippery People, an old Talking Heads number. So what else does he do? I do have some notes. I did make some notes. He does do Road to Nowhere for the finale. The one song he didn't do that I wish he did is Nothing But Flowers, which is from a later not so great album, but a truly great song and would fit in with the context. He doesn't do that. He's got to leave you wanting a little bit more. The show runs a bit over an hour and a half. There's no intermission, and it's basically all music, but there's interstitial stuff. He talks to the audience, and there is some kind of theme going on. Early on, he's talking to us about, like, when you're a child, when you're a baby, and you have a baby brain, you've got a zillion synapses that are trying to make connections. And babies actually make more connections with things across their brain stems and their brain cells than adults do when we get older. And that's necessary, because ultimately, as you grow up, your brain learns to associate this with that, and that's how you can open a doorway. You get to the doorknob, you turn it like this, you go out the door. As opposed to a baby, which is like, the shiny object. And the baby's brain goes this way and that way and this way and that way. So Byrne is explaining this early in the show. And he talks a little bit more about that and then about the thematic theme of finding positive things in this rather difficult time and what it means to be in a citizens of America and the world. It really doesn't all connect in any great way as a story being told or some kind of lecture with music. It's about the music and it's about the great songs and done in very often a very exciting, visceral way. Just hearing him, and he is not, let's just say, he's still got his voice. He still sounds exactly like David Byrne. He will never be pitch perfect in live concert situations. There are times when you're going, oh, yeah, man, this guy is never going to win on America's Got Talent. But it doesn't matter. Because once all those other instruments and the percussion kicks in, and you're hearing these songs that you know, and that you have known for 30-something years, and very often the songs are great, or they're just great sounding songs with incredible rhythm and lift to them, and joyousness, and just a sheer feeling of the power of scraping and banging and hitting and bongoing and, you know, a little guitar, a little piano, a little keyboard and stuff. No, the guy isn't walking across the stage with a giant piano. He's got a keyboard. But it's pretty cool stuff. So I've got to give 3.5 stars to American Utopia. It is so much preferable to see David Byrne, even if you take it as just a greatest hits concert, so much preferable to see him in this context than running off to the Meadowlands, if that still exists, or the City Field or Madison Square Garden with 18,000 other people far away on a little screen and blasting. It's like, no, this is the place to see David Byrne do his great stuff. So absolutely, highly, highly recommended. It's a must for Byrne fans, a must for Talking Head fans, and it is the kind of show that will convince newbies. So if you're an old fogey like me and you've got I don't have children or grandchildren, but you got a grandchild and you want to say, well, this is what Papa was listening to when he was in high school, you're probably going to convince that kid, that 12-year-old, that 20-year-old, that, oh, man, this is great stuff, by bringing him to the show, American Utopia, at the Hudson Theater on Broadway. And it's so great to have the Hudson Theater back too, man. This theater that's been around for 100-something years and they've repolished and redone. It's a pretty neat space as well. So definitely lots of reasons to journey to the Hudson Theater on Broadway for American Utopia. Well, you know, if this was a utopia of America, I wouldn't have to worry about money and I wouldn't have to worry about doing things except for fun. Well, for a while now, I've been doing this journal, Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. In fact, I've been co-publishing, now I'm the full publisher, and being editor-in-chief of this theater journal since like 2000, 2001, when I came into this publication that's been around since 1944. But I do it, and I do it because I love the theater, believe in the theater, and try and make some kind of secondary, far from a living. But I try to make it at least worth my while to keep doing this journal, which tells you everything that's happening on every stage of New York. Broadway, off and off Broadway. For example, you open up, this is the December issue that we have here. Here's a guide to all the shows on Broadway during the season. These are shows that are opening this season on Broadway. These are shows that are still running from previous years. These are shows that are coming up next season, 20 to 21. A little map of the Broadway district. We move to the next page, a guide to all the Broadway theaters and their tenants. For example, how many seats do these theaters have? Who owns them? Is it the Nederlanders, the Jujamsons, the Schuberts? What is their location? And what shows are playing in them and for how long? That's all on one page. Next page. This is very important to a lot of the theater critics and a lot of the people who are booking celebrities for shows on TV. What press agents represent all the shows on Broadway? Whom do you call if suddenly, Ed Harris, as we say, is in To Kill a Mockingbird? Well, you want to get Ed Harris on Jimmy Corton's show. Where do you go? First person you call, the press agents. Here's how to get in touch with them. And then the most important parts of the magazine are calendar, chronological listing of every show on Broadway when it starts, previews, opens, and closes. And then we do that, and you cannot find this anywhere else, off and off Broadway as well. Just when the shows are opening, closing, starting previews, who's handling them, where their theaters are, all the dates, page after page of this. In Performing Arts Insider, we also have a section of awards and special events related to the theater. And then, boom, the total throbbing heart, as it were, of this journal, every single show on Broadway. I keep mentioning To Kill a Mockingbird. I'll mention it one more time. Look at all the information about just this one show in Performing Arts Insider. Who wrote it, directed it, how to contact those people, all the designers, a synopsis of the show, who's currently in the cast, some notes, some trivia about the production, and then the producer. In this case, it's just one producer, Scott Rudin. The awards it's won. What press agent is handling it? What theater is it in? Where is that theater? What's the phone number? How do you call for tickets? And then when the dates that the show is running. Okay, so that's for To Kill a Mockingbird. Imagine all that information for every single show currently playing on Broadway, shows that are going to open on Broadway in the months and years ahead, and then for every single show off and off Broadway too. This is what you find on every single page of Performing Arts Insider 12 times a year. So you can get yourself a copy. How? By going to the website, performingartsinsider.com. Performingartsinsider.com. It's been the Bible of Broadway since 1944. If you're not sure, it's kind of an expensive magazine. You don't know if you want to go for 12 issues right away. That's all right. You can get one single issue. Just send right away for it, and get a single issue to try it out. Or if you want 12 issues a year, the information's at Performing Arts Insider. We also have a digital subscription where we will send you a PDF copy if you don't want the hard copy. You want to save some trees? We'll send you the PDF once a month of Performing Arts Insider, and it's cheaper. You can subscribe that way. And as I said, save some foliage. Either way, this is the Bible of Broadway. It has a table of contents, of course, and a big full index at the end of every issue. So it is so much handier, believe it or not, than opening a zillion windows on your computer and trying to find this and open that and trying to find information, some of which you will find only in these pages. Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. And hey, this is a gift-giving time. If there's someone in your life who is in the entertainment industry or really cares about and loves theater deeply, this is a really, really great gift. And it's a pricey gift. This isn't some like, oh, here's Happy Hanukkah. Here's some chocolate money for you. Oh, I got you a scarf. One of those $5 fake pashmina scarves that you get on the street. Show this person that you care. Get them a subscription to Performing Arts Insider. And they will thank you. And lo, they will get on their knees with knee pads and kiss your toes for giving you Performing Arts Insider. I know I would. I certainly would. Anyway, we're in the middle of Dave's Gone By here, and in the middle of our Inside Broadway segment, talking about the theater. Want to let you know, I should have mentioned this last week, but the big theater news for the week isn't even happening on a theater stage, although it came from one way back when I first started being a theater critic and getting into the theater. The show that was the biggest show of all time on Broadway was, yes, of course, I'm talking about Cats. Now, Cats was supposedly Now and Forever on Broadway, and it ran a very, 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 very long time, but eventually it did close, and it went away. And they even brought it back for a couple of years to Broadway a few years ago, but then it went away again. And you figure, okay, that's enough Cats for another generation to worry about. Because let's face it, there's some beautiful music in it. The makeup and the whole design of it is quite amazing. But it was kind of a boring show. When you get right down to it, it's 2.5 hours of plotless cats with different personalities telling you what their personalities are over and over again. Those Cats. And I know because I had to sit through Cats about 3 or 4 times in my life, tolerated it each time, loved the song, liked a couple of the other songs, and I'm like, why is this ending? But Cats never quite goes away. Just like Grisabella goes up to the honey, or the heavy side, or whatever the hell that's called, on the big giant hydraulic tire, and she's never really gone, because she'll always be there in some way. Cats is back in its way, because they've made a movie of Cats just in time for the holidays. It opened yesterday, and reviews for the musical, for Cats, the movie musical, they were pretty bad. But what did you expect? This is what I do want to say. I mean, I think critics went in there with their claws out, if you will, not wanting to like it from the get-go. They knew Cats was kitsch. They know Cats was camp. Sorry for the current alliterations that I'm using. And they knew that it was never a show that they liked too much. It was always overrated. It made Andrew Lloyd Webber zillions and zillions of dollars for adapting, T.S. Eliot, writing some nice melodies. But it's like, why? Why this show of all shows? And there's that resentment that built up, I think, right, of critics who loved other shows so much more. Why isn't there always a production of Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway and everywhere? Or My Fair Lady? Why does it open up for a revival, stay a year or 2 or 3, or South Pacific, or The King and I, and then it goes away because there aren't enough people to see it, and yet Cats ran 25 years, or something like that? That engenders, that breeds resentment in a certain way. And I think critics come to that, even movie critics, and they go, okay, show me what you got. And I think they approached The Fantastics when that opened as a movie the same way. Wanting, a critic goes in, no matter what, wanting something to surprise them and be good. But when it isn't great, the claws come out, and it's like, well, this is wrong with it. And this is exactly the way that these critics went to Cats this week, which just opened yesterday. It's like, well, did they expect it to be Chicago? Did they expect it to be the next iteration of Oklahoma or Carousel or Sunday in the Park with George? No, it's freaking Cats. There's a bunch of weird anthropomorphic, made up, literally and figuratively, feline creatures who just moving and doing their thing. So critics went to this and they were like, yeah. Now they did have, I haven't seen the movie. I have no desire to see the movie. I'm like one of those critics. I don't want to deal. But they did say that one mistake that the director, what's his name, Tom Hooper, who, I mean, if you're going to get a person to direct a movie musical, aren't you going to get the guy who directed The King's Speech? I mean, it won the Oscar, I think. It was a lovely movie. But no, you get Zayden and well, one of those guys is dead, but you get the Chicago guy. You get, one of the directors from Broadway. You pray Julie Taymor will take a look at it and translate it to film. But no, they got this guy, Tom Hooper, and they said one of the issues with the show is that he's using CGI so much and fakery, when the whole point of Cats the Musical on stage is that you're watching magnificently built and talented actors and dancers made up in costume with these tight little cat suits and the extraordinary makeup to become, without the use of anything else, not prosthetics, not strange fake CGI things, but just them. As it almost makes me wonder if they should have done Cats on a stage and photographed it the way Ingmar Bergman did the Magic Flute, when you just get the magic of the stage that is then filmed, and then you get it. It's like, oh, okay, this is kind of neat. That these audience members, they're tickled by Rum Tum Tugger and the silly crap that he's doing and shaking his pelvis into an audience member's face. Fine. As opposed to this otherworldly, other Catsian universe where you might as well do animation. If you're using these people who aren't necessarily dancers, they're more like famous actors and singers like Taylor Swift and Judi Dench. Judi Dench, not necessarily known for her Swan Lake, using CGI effects to help them along. I should say that one critic did mention an interesting thing about having Judi Dench in Cats, and that it's a meaningful thing. Judi Dench was supposed to star in Cats in London. She was going to be Grisabella back in the day, the Betty Buckley role. And then she hurt herself. She hurt, I think, her ankle or broke something. And that role never got to be hers. It's a shame, that her career suffered terribly after that from not being starring in Cats. But it's kind of a nice return that they asked her to do this and that she's in the movie. But anyway, moving on from that, I get that. And then there's a person who was writing for RogerEbert.com, because of course Roger Ebert's been dead about 5 years, but his website goes on with other film critics then posting on his site as officially RogerEbert.com reviews. So they got a woman there, Sheila O'Malley. And what's quite interesting is that one thing that Roger Ebert used to talk about when he was critiquing hip hop and boogie and kind of dance musicals of the 1980s, like electric boogaloo breaking kind of things that would come along. And his big complaint was that because it was the era of MTV and the music video, they suddenly became about camera flash and tricks and hyperactive cutting and close-ups and the actors. Well, I mean, it's a dance number. Pull the camera away and let's see a talented, beautifully physicalized performer do what they do. We want to watch their feet, and not just their feet. We want to see the way those feet are connected to legs and ankles and knees and hips and thighs and bodies, the way you used to when all of Fred Astaire was on the screen, or Gene Kelly. You didn't just see 2 seconds of Gene Kelly's wrists, and then another 2 seconds of his shoes, and then maybe a faraway look at Gene Kelly from a Busby Berkeley perspective, but for only 4 seconds, and then back to Gene Kelly's face for 3 seconds, and maybe 2 seconds of him dancing, full screen. No, you watched Gene Kelly for 30, 45 seconds at a time, singing, dancing. You took him all in. You took Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers all in that way. And Roger Ebert would critique movies about hip hop and breakdancing and those spin dancers and say, you can't even appreciate what they're doing because the camera's cutting away from them so fast. Well, it's almost antithetical to what a dance movie should be about, watching the dance. And so you had this critic, Sheila O'Malley, writing for RogerEbert.com, complaining, just in the way Roger Ebert would, that the Cats musical film does exactly this kind of thing. They take what should be a dance movie and a song and dance movie, and you don't get to appreciate the most important thing, which is the cats moving the way they move. And if you've ever seen a cat, of course, this is how their paws move. I can't, Jellicle cats for Jellicle, this Jellicle. Anyway, so a lot of negative reviews for Cats. It probably is a sucky movie that you need to see once. Some critics did admit, well, Jennifer Hudson doing the song got to me, Some of them said, there's a certain kind of fantastical magic to the whole thing. If you finally just let go, and you leave your expectations at the door, and you go into the world that Tom Hooper has created, rather than the theatrical world you wanted Tom Hooper to create in your imagination of what Cats should be on film, eventually you give up, and there's scenes that really do work, and parts that are really quite magical and lovely. And there is the song Memory. So I leave it to you. If you want to spend your Christmas holiday, maybe bringing the kids not to some Tom Cruise blockbuster, not to some glorified hallmarky romantic comedy, I don't know what the hell, and of course some Marvel superhero thing going on. If you want something else, Cats is out there, directed by Tom Hooper, and apparently seats are available. Somebody posting on Facebook that they went, or it was either Facebook or All That Chat, that they went to see cats at one of the evening shows a day or two ago, and there were 6 other people in the audience. Yipies! Well, who knows? Maybe, at least there's no musical called Dogs, so we don't have to tolerate that. But anyway, this has been Inside Broadway here on Dave's Gone By. Let's, here's the song. Here's a show that they will never make into a film. It was kind of a fun show. Ain't Broadway grand?
It's the famous gay white way where the night is bright as day. Ain't Broadway grand?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's not just a thoroughfare, it's a tingle in the air. Ain't Broadway grand?
It's excitement, it's romance, it's all fun and song and dance. This wonderland. You can be a millionaire quicker here than anywhere. Ain't Broadway grand?
I think so. Anyway, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It is, it's 7 minutes after 11 in the morning, Eastern Time, here in the Eastern Daverhood. Dave Lefkowitz here with the 725th edition of Dave's Gone By. Remember, you can find out much more about this program, including all our archives at davesgoneby.com. And remember, please also have a Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2, Radio Dave, the number 2. And if you've ever made a number 2, you know how pleasurable that can be. Let's see. Also, please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies about this Facebook page, Dave's Gone By, because maybe they'll like the show too. And we're always trying to find more viewers, more people tuning in, like Francis and Tom, Jay, Gina, Lisa, oh my God, and Ashley from where I was teaching the past few years. Welcome to all of you, friends, new friends of the Daverhood. Well, we have our Today, Yesterday quiz still to come on the program, and we also have our Friends of the Daverhood segment. Plus, in just a couple of minutes, we will be talking to, or Rabbi Saul Solomon will be talking to the author Marty Brounstein. He wrote a book called Two Among the Righteous Few, all about these Gentiles, non-Jewish people who did a very nice thing during the Holocaust. And we'll hear the story here on Dave's Gone By. But before then, as promised, or as I mentioned, Joyce and I were living in Colorado for quite a few years, this whole decade. So for no particular reason, many months ago, I started writing a poem about each and every place that I could find in Colorado. Big town, big cities, little small towns, little barely unincorporated villages. And I'm still working on them. I'm still making more, but I've got about 70 of them. So every week we do one Colorado limerick of the damned. And the whole point is that, well, they're limericks, so they can get to be kind of naughty and raunchy and risque. Let me see if this one's bad. Yeah, you can leave the kids in the room for this one. It's not so terrible, but it's still not very nice, because it is a Colorado limerick. I just channeled my inner Charles Nelson Riley there. Our Colorado limerick of the damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado, 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 Colorado.
So for today's Colorado limerick of the damned, we go to a town I'd never heard of until I started doing these things, Eagle. There is an Eagle, Colorado. So we're going to fly to there right now for our Colorado limerick. Let me tell you a little bit about Eagle. It's a town of about 6,000 people with tons of trails. It's basically a real touristy, nature-y kind of place with trails for biking and hiking and running. They do have, I love how they have these small towns that have next to nothing, except sometimes they have this big, amazing restaurant there, but no other stores, no other shops, nothing else to do except that. And this particular one, or many months ago, I visited Brush, Colorado, and their big thing was a thrift store. Literally, they had one little, not bad diner, and then a giant kind of thrift store, and that was literally the whole frickin' town. But this place, Eagle, Colorado, I guess it's appropriate considering the flight symbolism. They do have a regional airport, which is helpful during ski season, since Eagle, Colorado is only half an hour from Vail. So we will avail ourselves of this information to do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned about Eagle, Colorado. Ahem, ahem. A horny young pervert from Eagle was busted for banging a beagle. His lawyer said, sure, the act is impure, but technically not quite illegal. Yes, that's our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for today, December 21st, 2019. Please send your comments, complaints, and other kinds of letters to davesgoneby@aol.com. Dave, like my name, davesgoneby@aol.com. And of course, you can post messages to me, both personal messages and public ones, on our Facebook page, the one that you're watching right now, Dave's Gone By. Remember, you don't have to do it during the show. You can reach me here all week long. I do read everything, but I try to respond to a lot of things when I can. So I do love to hear from you. Whether you love or hate the Limerick, whether you like Greeley Crimes and Old Times or the other segments that we do, if you have suggestions for segments that we should do or shout outs that you want to give, it's always so great to hear from ya all here in the Daverhood from Dave's Gone By. Well, it's about 12 minutes after 11 in the morning Eastern Time on this Saturday, December 21st. We have our guest coming up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little song by Rabbi Sal Solomon, who's going to be conducting the interview with Marty Brounstein in just a couple of minutes. Since it is Hanukkah, it's time. Let's do a song that he does love to sing. There's a standard, a Jewish Hanukkah holiday standard called Ma'ot's Sur. Don't even know what the hell that means. I think it's in Aramaic. But they sing it. It's got a pretty melody. Rabbi Sal has adapted it a bit to talk about his feelings about the holiday season and the bumping up of Judaism, Christianity this time of year. So even though I'm in a very seasonal mood, not sure if the rabbi is, let's hear his version called Ma'ot's Suris.
Lights. Let's all sing on Hanukkah and thank Hashem for this festival. Maccabees restored the peace and kicked the Greeks in the testicles. Hashem did these things for us, so we light menorahs. We give toys to girls and boys. Hanukkah isn't Christmas Eve. Keep your trees and keep your Jesus. We respect, but we don't believe. You can have your Christmas cheer, but keep away, we are Jewish here. Why must every Jew endure silent night in a Rite Aid store? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer has no business flying here. Santa Claus ain't ours, he's yours. Jingle bells isn't what we sing. No offense, just common sense. Hanukkah is a Jewish thing. Hanukkah is a Jewish thing. Hanukkah is a Jewish thing.
Oh, shalom, shalom again, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And what a delightful time of the year this is for me, because it is Hanukkah time. It is locked Hanukkah time. It's not one of our miserable Jewish holidays where you can't eat anything and everybody smells like bad breath. No, everybody smells like delicious sufganiyot, the jelly donuts, and latkes, and they smell like happiness and joy and candles burning and wonderful things on this Hanukkah holiday. What better joyful time than to talk about the Holocaust? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest in the Daverhood today who has written a book that deals with the Holocaust years, but it deals in let's just say this story has a happy ending, and it even has some goyim in it. Our guest is Marty Brounstein. Now, he's best known as someone who does public speaking. He's a motivational speaker, and we'll talk about that as well. But he has also written a story that is very close to his heart and his kishkas. It's called Two Among the Righteous Few, a story of courage in the Holocaust. So we're going to have him tell us just enough about the book so that you go out and buy it, because why should you get it all for free? With us on the telephone right now is Marty Brounstein. So first of all, happy Hanukkah and shalom to you, Marty. Hello.
Well, shalom, Rabbi Saul. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, it's a delight to have you on. And mit Mazel, how are you going to celebrate the first night of Hanukkah tomorrow?
I am in Hawaii to celebrate.
Not a bad place to celebrate, yes?
Yes, so having nice warm weather.
Are you making...
Folks in New York are probably cold right now.
Please. It is
fun fashion.
But let me, do you make latkes out of poi out there? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I wonder if they do, yeah. I haven't, poke, I think is another popular thing out here, so we haven't tried that yet.
Do you live in Hawaii, or are you just visiting?
No, just visiting.
Okay.
I ended up having a speaking gig out here, and so when you come this far, might as well stay and enjoy the islands.
Now, let me ask you. I'm always wondering about this, about motivational speakers, about people who try to get other people off their asses to do good things. So what do you tell people that isn't just common sense, that they can't think in their own heads? Why do they need you?
I don't know that they need me, but I tell them what I call as an inspirational story. A story of people who did good. And audiences have been telling me, 9 years into doing this, that this is a story that is very inspiring. It's got positive values. And so they thank me for this. And they keep sharing it, even more in the times we live in that are not always the most positive. We see this divisiveness in our country.
True.
So this is what this story does. It moves people.
But wait a minute.
Emotionally connects to them.
But weren't you doing this kind of speaking stuff before you started telling this particular story? What were you doing prior to 9 years ago?
Yes, I was running a management consulting business.
So again, consulting. What were you telling people to do? How do you consult? What were you consulting on?
Yes, I was teaching them skills about leadership and customer service and how to manage performance and get the best out of people in their performance.
So what are some ideas? What are ideas for, in other words, I can imagine in my head, if I were running a store and a customer comes in and they're not very nice, you don't call them an asshole. The customer is not always right, but what do you tell people? Like when you want to help a company do better customer service, what can you tell them that they don't already know?
Well, a lot of it is more often, it's not so much what they do, but how they do it. So how to have those interactions that count when you're talking to the customer, whether it's in person or on the phone, how to follow through, how to make sure that you're responsive when people are leaving you messages. It was things like that in hindsight, people say, well, that's common sense, but common sense is not always common. The kinds of behaviors that people need to do in doing their jobs to get the best out of people that they're working with.
Well, what is something that surprised you in those years, before you started telling the motivational story that we'll talk about, in the years when you were just doing business consulting and all of that you would tell your thing and you would be shocked when you would hear stories of, oh, this is how we were doing, this was our corporate culture. What were you just surprised of, like, really? This is how you were operating?
The surprise wasn't so much how people were operating. It's more of when they got, the name of my firm was the Practical Solutions Group.
Okay.
And And I was giving them practical tools on how to do things from service and leadership and managing performance and working well in teams. I'll say the pleasant surprise was hearing people when they followed through and applied it to say, wow, it works. I'm getting results. That's the whole idea.
Well, what's a suggestion that you could give for a manager of a team, a work team, to get better work out of them?
One would be when you hold your team meetings, make them so that they're collaborative, that you're involving people and working on things together, rather than meetings that you're just talking at them and just passing on information. That's really not a team meeting. Team meetings that get people to work on solving problems, creating plans, brainstorming ideas on how to make something, a process better. That's one tip.
Okay.
That really gets people working better.
That's pretty good. I could see that. And what about like someone who is middle management? What is, like, they're caught between the big boss and then the people that they are, who are reporting to them? What makes a better middle manager?
One is they run their group well, so their boss doesn't have any concerns about how things are going. So they're really on top of what the group has to perform, keeping people focused, keeping them accountable, giving them the right support. Doing that makes the bigger boss not worry about them.
Okay. I mean, again, it does sound like common sense to me. I guess you tailor it, though, to every organization. So you do a little research on the organization. You don't just come out and give this set speech that's the same every time. You have to know.
It was customized when I used to do this. And one of my strengths, I always said, was I know cultures. I learn organizational cultures. And so people often felt you really understand where we're at. And that was certainly a key of my service.
What's the most toxic culture you ever came up against?
Oh.
You don't have to name names. I'm just saying, like, describe the company and what was so horrible about it.
Yes. It's the leadership at the top that's quick to fly off the handle and get upset when something doesn't go right. You're often seeing in there, there'll be elements of sexual harassment going on, other forms of maybe racial harassment. Those are the most toxic. Interesting enough, ideally they wouldn't be calling me into those places.
No.
The most extreme ones anyway, because they're not interested in doing something more productive anyway. So, but those cultures are certainly, many of them are out there, unfortunately.
Well, were you ever privy to something where you felt like, oh my God, I should call the police on this, or convince the person that this happened, whether it's a physical abuse or sexual abuse, or this, where it's like, this is almost a 911 call?
Fortunately not. Fortunately, there were none that I would say need immediate emergency police help. But certainly there were things going on in many of the others where, people are crossing the line. They're doing things that ethics become into question. And again, certainly with the sexual harassment, or they're not dealing with these things. More often, the most common thing I saw is managers looking the other way and condoning misconduct. And that's what then starts to build a toxic culture.
That's very interesting. So you kind of, it's so easy for managers to concentrate on just getting the work done and then looking this way, and it's, if it's not a real terrible problem, we'll let the employee deal with it. But then, it just builds in. It's like a festering boil filled with pus, if you will.
Yes, it would. Yes.
And are you enjoying your lunch?
Performance issues, and they weren't going to address them with the employees who weren't performing well.
No,
it bothers all the rest of the employees in a group as well.
Now, one of the things I didn't mention in your introduction, this is so cool, that you, Marty Brounstein, contributed to the book Communicating Effectively for Dummies. First of all,
that's one of the books I've authored, yes.
I would figure if you want to communicate with someone, it's probably best not to call them a dummy, but leaving that aside, so what's something that you contributed particularly to that Dummies book volume?
That book, among the skills it taught, were how to listen, to really understand where people are coming from, and how to speak in the most positive, clear manner so people understand where you're coming from.
Okay. Did you always have the gift of being very like Bill O'Reilly-ish, kind of clear sentences, talking points, or did you have to develop that?
Certainly those are skills that I developed.
What did you do? How did you do it?
Through education, constant self-learning, from reading, studying, to just practice makes perfect, so to speak. Not that I was ever perfect, but the idea that, as you learn and apply and teach others, teaching is a wonderful skill that to really know it, you got to learn it first. And all that helped me develop over the years. And storytelling, which is now what I'm doing full time, but I've learned from others' successes and learning from others, and then sharing the stories of what they do with other people that you work with was always beneficial.
Well, before we get to Two Among the Righteous Few, my last question about the whole motivational and public speaker aspect of your stuff is, how did you get, and what was it like when you got your first gig?
Certainly rewarding. The very first time you get a client who says, yes, come in and deliver your training or other service, very, very rewarding. And as time went on, I was very fortunate because I did that business for 25 plus years. As time went on, I wasn't having to ever work hard to get clients. It just one built the other, and often say, get good service. 80% of my clients will repeat business. I didn't make them dependent on me, but because the service that they got was top notch for them, when they had another need, they'd call me.
That's pretty great. So then, after 25 years, you decided to, quote, I guess, retire, but you pivoted. So this mazel tov that you make enough that you could live comfortably. But then, was it suddenly, or you thought, you know what? If I don't tell this particular story in a book, it's never going to get out there. I mean, what was that impetus of telling the story of Two Among the Righteous Few?
Well, I always say, one-word answer, serendipity. This was a story I stumbled into by accident on a trip to the Netherlands with my wife now over 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the book Two Among the Righteous Few is about this Dutch Christian couple named Franz and Mien Weinacher, who during World War II, when their country was under the brutal occupation of Nazi Germany, they got involved when most did not. And in the end, they saved the lives of over 24 Jews from certain death. So I never got to meet Franz and Mien because they're not alive, but I met their 5 children on this trip. And it was truly by serendipity, not something that was planned or expected. And when I got to meet them and learn more about the story of their parents, it's the spark. And it kind of led me to say, I got to go write this book. And the more even bigger surprise is that I've been on this journey now well into 9 years of telling their story in a wide variety of venues, including in Hawaii, which got me here and a great place to visit afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it was very smart of you to be telling the story in Hawaii now, not, say, Greenland, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, again, if someone calls and they want to pay for me to come to Greenland, maybe I would go. But not this time of year, that's for sure.
So you were already, I thought for some reason that you had, there was some personal marital connection.
Well, yes, I also have. And then when audiences go to my public storytelling events, they know just going in, it's in the flyers and it's in the introduction, there's a very meaningful personal connection to this story, which I reveal at the very end, and it tends to blow away people.
Oh, because as you mentioned just before, you went to the Netherlands with your wife, and where did you meet these 5 family people?
They live in kind of a small town areas of southeastern Netherlands.
And you were out to dinner, and
their parents lived is called
Dieden, Holland. But then how did you run into? Were you skiing? What the hell? Or I don't know what you do in Holland. Were you eating chocolate? No.
So if I I'll give a spoiler alert to your audience here.
Sure.
Revealing the meaningful personal connection because it gets at what you're asking.
Oh, okay.
Among the 24 plus Jews that Franz and Mien Weinacher saved was a young married Jewish couple, and they themselves at the time were a young married couple too. And when this couple was able to be snuck out of Amsterdam and get to the Weinachers in the countryside in the fall of 1943, the wife of this couple had a secret she couldn't keep secret any longer. She was already pregnant.
Oh.
How do you get a baby born to a Jewish woman in Nazi-occupied Holland? And the answer was impossible. But Franz and Mien Weinacher decided they would take on this most impossible dilemma. And they performed a miracle. And they got the baby born, and they kept her and her parents safe till liberation finally came. And that baby I get to call today my wife.
Mazel. So you had no idea. I mean, when you met these people, it didn't even, well, or maybe you kind of were going there to, yeah, I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to, but what you can give away or spoil, as it were, is, I mean, you went over sort of the bones of the book of, okay, these people saved Jews, but give us, how was their experience kind of, was it an Anne Frank thing? Were they hiding in an attic? What did they do?
They were hiding, they were doing two major things to the rescue operation. One was taking people inside their own home, and at the height of this, they had their own four little children. They often had up to 10 Jewish refugees in their own home, but also Franz got connected with a resistance group that led him to then recruit people in his own countryside area and get Jews placed within their home, a rescue network. So he had both things going with his wife being right there with him, supporting all along the way. So it was full of challenges and hassles and dangers that they encountered. Yet over a 2-year period, this couple persisted. This is also what led me to the trip that we ended up having.
Yeah.
My wife obviously knew the Weinackers growing up. They immigrated to the U.S. when she was 14 to Los Angeles, and years go by, and it had been 25 years since she was last back to her original homeland of Poland, and I went for me the first time in this May 2009 trip. We were more than 2/3, and that was the curiosity that led to the serendipity. I wonder if I can find any of the Weinacker children. She had lost touch.
Right.
And we found them.
Let me ask, did they save any, or do they have artifacts or the things from that era that they were able to keep? You know, did they show you any sort of, I don't know, Jewish books, any or yellow stars?
Yes, well, one of the things that they gave us and said to me, go ahead and use as I went back to later on build the book, is they gave us this little self-published Dutch book. And they told us that late in Franz's life, a friend of the family sat him down because they'd been hearing little snippets of stories over the years of the rescue efforts of he and me, and said, spit it out. And they gave us that book, and it was like a jigsaw puzzle with some pieces missing, but you got the gist of the story. And that's kind of what began me building this to see if I can get more foundation into this, and led to the book, Two Among the Righteous Few. So that was one of the things. The other thing, and it goes to the meaning of the book's title, well, the first of the 5 children we met was Franz Weinacker Jr., who lives in the actual house where his parents' rescue activity took place. He showed me a picture. And the picture was the plaque to his parents for the honor of righteous among the nations, where the word righteous comes from. That comes from Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum in Israel. And this is the honor that goes to the non-Jews who, during the course of the Holocaust, risked their own lives to try to help save the lives of Jews. I understood what that meant. And when he showed me that picture, my wife will say I haven't been the same since. Something heroic happened with your parents, and that was the spark that said, I got to find out more.
Can I ask, what was the closest? I assume that they're probably in your book, but the closest that they came to getting caught?
They had 2 raids on the house by the Germans. And so that's obviously, and they had other things that they nearly lost their house to one of the Dutch Nazis. Franz nearly got sent off to forced labor. So they had a number of things that kept happening, and the raids come later on that are, very frightening, that they didn't get caught.
How? But here's why: if you've got 8 strangers, let's say, living among your family with the children, and they're, isn't it like Inglourious Bastards? I mean, the guy knows that they're under the floorboards or something. How do they hide? What do they do?
Yes. What's interesting, and this was my wife's father, he was an architect, and when he comes to the Weinacker home, he designed, and then he works with Franz, who got the building materials, this hiding room within their house. They took some open space and built it as it was the size of a small bedroom. Had you never been in the house, it was not detectable. So that's when they would get that pound on the door, because they also had threats of raids sometimes that they practiced, get into the hiding room. Thank goodness for that hiding room. Had they not had that, they would have been caught. And so that was the real key to getting undetected, get in there, and when the Germans came in and they're pounding on floors and walls and all that, everybody sitting in the high room just stays quiet, and time they passed.
Wow. And then you said there were 2 such raids that they did.
Yes.
Now, how did, here's what I don't understand. I mean, they're the Nazis, so they threatened to put the guy in what, labor camp, you said? How did that suddenly...
He almost got called. It was common through the countries that Germans occupied, and the Netherlands is right next door, to send... The Germans had a labor shortage during the war. Their people would be doing the jobs. They're off hammering all the concentration camps and fighting in World War II. So what was called forced labor, meaning you got notice, go work in Germany. And so that was not a job you wanted. And certainly when the bombings of the Allies in Germany, many people died in those things. So later in the war, Franz got notice, it's your turn to go report to work in Germany. It was an obstacle he had to work through. Luckily, he didn't end up going. But well,
what I don't understand is the Nazis were so efficient. I would imagine the second they show up at the door, they say, okay, we need you working in Germany, come with us now. How did he not have to do that? How did he not have to go?
Yeah, so you get the summons, it's like a piece of mail comes the summons, you got to go. And first step is your report for medical evaluation. And through different sources he had helping him, he found the right doctor who would verify that he had this terrible illness. So obviously Germans don't want you if you're sick or, have some terrible disease going on. So he came up with some disease, an illness that kept him from being sent off to Germany.
So when the families were being hidden by this phone, did they ever see daylight, or is it literally they had to be indoors for 2 straight years?
They did see daylight. You're spending most of your day indoors, just kind of sitting around, and they didn't have a lot of books there. You read the Bible, you did your little exercise, then you help with chores around the house. At night, thank goodness they're in the countryside, so it would have been different in the city where you would definitely been more confined. They could go outside a bit, get some fresh air, as long as you stay close to the house. And at night, because your countryside is not neighbors on neighbors, you could get a little bit of air and do that. And that's kind of what they did. You could say it's a boring existence. The food was not a wide variety either. And so, but I bet it beat the alternative. That's for sure. Actually,
considering it was Holland during the war, I mean, were there rations? What was it like in 44, 45, when even families that were just non-Jewish regular families probably had to be pretty careful with what they were eating just to have enough to eat? Am I right about this or what?
Absolutely. And you just brought up the last year of the war, and it was the last winter of the war in Holland. Holland doesn't get liberated until near the end of the war, unlike other countries in Western Europe that were liberated fall of 44. And in the last winter of the war for the western portion of the country, a major strike had happened by the railway workers, and then the Germans said, fine, go off. And that stopped then shipments of food and other supplies going to the major cities in the west, like Amsterdam and the capital city, The Hague. And it led to the hunger winter, where that winter 20,000 people starved to death because food wasn't coming in there anymore. And even prior to that, people had these ration cards that the Germans imposed on them for buying their food and supplies. So it was rough on the non-Jewish Dutch throughout the war.
So how did they...
Of Germany.
Well, but then you go. Again, so you've got a family with 4 children, right? And the mother, the father, non-Jewish, taking in half a dozen Jews at any given time. Where the hell did the food come from?
Yes, good question. 2 sources. One, countryside helped. So there was a little bit more food, and there's some farmers there that still had supplies, cattle and chicken and things like that, which was scarce in the rest of the country. Franz also had a local government official, Dutch guy then, who also, one of his jobs was to tax farmers, and he would tax them a little less if they left behind some food. And then he would call Franz and come over here and you can get some more food supplies. And through that, they got by. But they could feed the people. And of course, he was placing people in other people's homes who, it was not easy, but there was always enough food to be fed. Just you're eating a lot of potatoes and things like that, not a lot of variety of food. Every now and then, maybe you're having a chicken, and every now and then, some kind of meat, because Franz had access to farmers where he could get these things from. But they got by. So it wasn't terrible. Countryside was much better than in any of the major cities.
Now, let me ask, when you met these children and these family members many years later, when you went off like 10 years ago to Holland, how do they feel? How do they feel about Germany and Austria? Do they go there? Do they realize it was 3 generations and forgive or forget? Or, I mean, would they never set foot in a country like that? How do they feel about it?
Yeah, they themselves, I don't know that if I asked the Weinacher's children, who are in their 60s and 70s, of that question. Some of them have traveled and have gone into Germany, and it's no big deal today.
Right.
Now, we go back not too long ago, and some will say it's still there in Holland today among the Dutch, because the Dutch suffered terribly under German occupation. There's a joke that they say in the Netherlands, which is when a tourist or visitor comes to the country and they're lost, you be friendly, you give them directions. If the person happens to be from Germany, make sure you give them the wrong directions.
So, that Dutch comedy right there.
After the war, the Dutch had a very strong anti-German sentiment.
Well, yeah.
Less so probably you'd see today as time goes on, but they certainly remember the scars of that war very much. And when my first trip, and I've been 4 times now, just to see the memory of the war there that you don't see in the United States really struck me. They suffered.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
over 3/4 of Jews perished on top of that. So the Holocaust hit there very hard.
It's kind of like, the English, let's say. I mean, they suffered during World War II in a way that even America can't fathom.
Exactly.
There was no blitz here, Yeah.
The war wasn't fought on our soil, so Americans often don't recognize how the World War II, still today, we're going to be coming next year, right around the corner, the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. And you see it when you go into many of the European countries. I've certainly been in the Western European ones. England, you mentioned. I've been in Holland. I've been in Belgium. I've been in France. The war's impact was tremendous on what people went through.
Well, contributing to the memory of what people went through during those years, the World War II years and the Holocaust, is Marty Brounstein's book. It's called Two Among the Righteous Few, a story of courage in the Holocaust. Now, how, since you've whet everybody's appetites now, and dried it too, how do people get your book?
They can order it through Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, the publisher is Durant's Publishing, or they go to my website. They can order it there and leave me messages. And my website is www.martybrounstein.com, and Brounstein is Brounstein. Brounstein,
Marty A. Brounstein.com is your website. That's how you can get a copy of Two Among the Righteous Few. And I assume at the website people want to book you as a speaker to come and tell more of this story, in person. That's also the place they can go in and do that too.
Absolutely. They can contact me. The phone number is there. Yes, I go far and wide with this. That it was unexpected. I'm home base is San Francisco Bay Area. I've been in 15 other metropolitan areas.
He's been everywhere, man.
Where you are, where we had a chance to meet. So
yeah.
It's been amazing how supporters and other people tell me, you got to keep telling this story.
Now, last question for you, Marty, before I let you go. I'm moving away from the book and the story on that. But you're a Jewish fella.
Yes, I am.
Are you religious, non-religious, secular? Where do you fall on the spectrum of Judaica?
I'm a fairly practicing Jew.
Oh, okay.
I belong to a conservative synagogue, especially because of my wife, who's very strong Jewish, religious as well as just culturally. So I'm fortunate for that. So yes, Judaism is part of my life.
So let me ask you, what gets you through November, December, when all of America starts to look like, Christmas in Dollywood sort of thing, where, you feel your Jewishness in a way that you don't feel it the other 10 months of the year? Well, what gets you through?
Yeah, I just don't pay a lot of attention to it. Luckily, in a way, I'm not in a relationship where the person has strong Christian leanings and would want to do all those things. I'm with a Jewish woman the minute she hears Christmas music, she'd rather turn to another station on the radio. So I don't pay a lot of attention to it. And I wish well for people. Merry Christmas to you, happy holidays and all of that. So
Festivus, yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so I recognize I'm a minority in this country, but I don't have to have my face rubbed in it, and so I keep away from that. I can remember more to part of what your question is. As a kid in schools where I was certainly one of the few Jews around, then it was much harder to kind of not pay attention to, because it was, they're singing Christmas music in the schools and all of that, and the assemblies, and that to me was a little bit too invasive. But luckily, as an adult today, what I do in my life, fine. For me, Christmas is a good Chinese buffet around. Let's see if we can go that one.
Spoken like a real Jew. Is the Chinese Open on Christmas Day? That's the way. So happy to be talking to Marty Brounstein. Remember that you can get his book, Two Among the Righteous Few, a story of courage in the Holocaust. You can get it at Amazon and all the usual places, as well as at his website, Marty A. Brounstein, Brounstein, MartyABrounstein.com, which is also how you can book him to come and tell the story in front of your group. Do you ever do any of your old, which is a business communication kind of motivational stuff?
I wound that down. There was a few years where it was overlapping as I was on the journey with Two Among the Righteous Few, and eventually I said, it's just been too much. Wound that down, said goodbye to my clients, and actually my clients, many of them have been supporters, and I actually sometimes bring this into workplaces. The workshop taught with the theme, Make a Positive Difference, which the story teaches so well. So that's worked out very well for me that way.
Well, it has worked out marvelously for us to have you on Dave's Gone By on this show. It just remains for me to wish you a most happy and glowing and joyous Hanukkah to you and your family, Marty Brounstein, and much continued success telling this story and all the other stories that you want to tell. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Shalom. Shalom and happy Hanukkah. Bye-bye now. Shalom. Marty Brounstein in the Daverhood with us, talking about his book.
Local news.
Hold on, wait, let me get Dave back here. This is still me. I've gotta go. I've got other things to do. I've gotta start greasing the menorah because the candles won't stay in unless I do that. So until I'm back with you next time, let's have some more of Dave's Gone By. Spin the dreidel.
Mendel make with a dreidel. That'll make with a dreidel.
Oh, my deafness. Shalom, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Hanukkah to you all. Thank you so much to Rabbi Salsal.
Larry retired. It's across Broadway Cafe. It's going to be open next week.
Let's give some context for this. Yeah. First of all, to all the folks who were enjoying that conversation between Rabbi Salsal and Marty Brounstein, remember that if you want to share that with people, because especially this kind of holiday time, we'll be posting that in our archives at davesgoneby.com over the next 24 to 48 hours. Welcome to Deborah and Blake and Susan and Tom and Robert from my high school. Robert says, hi, Dave. I say, hi, Robert. And, you missed the first 2 hours or so of the show. Wow. Remember, you can find it in our archives. Plus, you can always scroll down on this Facebook page and find the last, year and a half of shows that we've done by now. Those are here on video, too, for our archives as well. But, you might have friends or family who aren't on Facebook. And remember that they can watch the show just not live, but by going to our website. Anyway, so you were saying, what the heck? There's a diner.
So I'm starving, and I called Debbie and Larry's.
Okay.
And a woman picked up and said, across Broadway or across Broadway Cafe. And I said, is this Debbie and Larry's? And she said, yeah. She said, Larry retired. She sold it, and they're going to open in next week.
Wow. You know, Larry, oh my, how do we even describe Larry?
He's a fixture.
Larry's been a fixture of Hewlett, Long Island for, what, 40 years? He's run Debbie and Larry's Cafe. And I'm going to miss, I mean, maybe these people are going to be great, but he did really good food for kind of cheap-ish prices for a local diner.
I'm going to put my shoes on and feed the dog.
Okay. He made a damn good burger. Did a really, Joyce liked his omelets. It's basically plain cafe diner food. Why would he not? You would figure he would tell us he's retiring.
Maybe we just haven't seen him.
Well, a couple of weeks ago.
I saw him with your mom and Debbie in CVS, but we just talked.
Huh. Wow.
He's still the diner.
I wish him absolutely. Well, then he can go and retire now. I assume that they got a good price for it. It's a great location.
They said it's going to be open next week. It's called Across Broadway or Across Broadway Cafe.
Okay.
Or diner.
I wish them well, and I certainly wish. Larry was this. I mean, Larry was Larry. He was a personality. He was never cranky with us, but he could be a little bit of a prickly pear now and then.
Look who's talking.
Yeah, and we always felt bad for him because he lost a member of his family, and that broke his soul on some.
You know, I think he had a lot of health stuff. I saw he and Debbie, and I said, it's funny because I never saw them together. You know.
Yeah, right. The wife. I never knew. I thought he was long divorced. You know, after they lost whatever, that they broke up and things weren't. He's a married man. You know, and he had his kids working for him, his wonderful daughters.
His daughters were sweethearts.
Yeah.
I love those girls.
So congratulations, I guess. And bad news for us.
I know.
Well, maybe it'll be a very nice. Was the woman nice on the?
She was lovely. She was lovely. I said to her, I called Debbie and Larry, and she said no. She said it's across Broadway Cafe and Diner. And I said, what happened? And she said, well, Larry sold it, and we're going to open in about a week. She said, we're a little bit delayed. We're going to probably open next week.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're going to open before New Year's. I mean, why not just open January?
Because, it's good. It's soft opening, you know. You have a soft opening.
I have a soft opening, and that's where I go for my proctology. But, it is 10 to noon Eastern time here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. We've done most of the stuff that we want to do, but we haven't yet, and I thank you so much to Cynthia and Jeff for staying tuned in.
I'm starving, David.
Okay, we still have our Today-Yesterday quiz.
You said you'd be done by 12.
Ish. It's 10 to 12. So we have that left.
I'm ripping down the Hanukkah wallpaper.
No. Keep the wallpaper.
I'll go feed the dog.
Thank you. And we do want to tell, since Marty Brounstein is now our brand new friend of the Daverhood, right? He's been on the show. That's what we consider. They're folks, we consider them like friends and like family. And we like to let you know, hey, this is what so-and-so has been up to since they've been on the show, because they go on to write more books or do more great things. We call this segment the Friends of the Daverhood. So our friends have been up to quite a lot in recent times. I want to let you know that if you happen to be in Florida at Miami Beach's J-Cat Theater, Brad Zimmerman is doing his solo show, speaking of all things Jewish, My Son the Waiter. You want to go see him there. Art Paul Schlosser, speaking of someone who's very not Jewish, he's doing his holiday show at Cargo Coffee East. That is in Madison, Wisconsin, and that is happening on the 21st, which is today. Also today, Tom Tose, our musical friend, is presenting More Songs of Hope at the Winter Rhythm Series in Urban Stages in Manhattan. It's a swingin' Birdland Christmas with Jim Caruso that is running from today through the 25th. Running today through the 29th, our friend Avi Hoffman is presenting the Yiddishkeit Initiative's Yiddish Fest at Symphony Space. He's doing solos, and they're even doing a tribute to our old late friend, Flavish Finkel. Seth Rudetsky's Broadway is going to be at Town Hall on Sunday. And then on Friday, not a lot happening during the week this time, but Neil Sedaka is going to be at Hawaii. Oh, I hope Marty Brounstein goes to see him. Neil Sedaka is at the Hawaii Theater in Honolulu. Running from this coming Friday through January 5th, there will be some performances of The Mikado conducted by Albert Bergeret as the conductor and the founder of New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players. That is at the K Playhouse. Alice Ripley is performing in the musical revival of Baby. That is happening in a small space on West 45th Street. It's supposed to be really, really good. That is playing now just through today. Today's the last day. Through the end of December, Ruben Santiago Hudson is directing August Wilson's marvelous play, Jitney, and that is at the Mark Taper Forum in LA. In New York, Max McLean has adapted C.S. Lewis's story, The Great Divorce, that is happening on Theatre Row. A Christmas Carol with LaChanze playing the Ghost of Christmas Present, that is on Broadway at the Lyceum Theatre and very, very well worth seeing. It's a lovely show. Tootsie, also very funny show, playing now just for 2 more weeks at Broadway's Marquee Theatre. It features a score by our friend David Yazbek, and in the cast, our friend Julie Holston. Little Shop of Horrors, the musical revival with music by Alan Menken, that is at the West Side Theatre off Broadway. Katsura Sunshine is doing his show Sunshine Rakugo, at New World Stages on West 50th Street. On Broadway, Andre DeShields, hell, he won the Tony for Hades Town. Go see it. Hamilton features Daniel Breaker. Come From Away, a marvelous play, or musical, is written by Irene Sankoff and David Hine, who were on our Tony show 2 years ago. Moulin Rouge features Danny Burston, that is at the Hirschfeld. Jim Caruso's Cast Party happens every Monday night at Birdland. Go to stagebuddy.com for news about New York nightlife. That website is founded and edited by our friend Evan Seplow. Dr. Demento doing new and old, well, he's archived the old Dr. Demento shows for small fee at drdemento.com. Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake, they co-host the Theater Review Show 2 on the Isle. You can see that on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, mnn.org, which is where you can also watch Eva Heinemann's Theater Review Show, High Drama. I want to let you know, let's see who else, that you can still read Phil Mushnick in the New York Post. He writes about sports, but from how sports is covered in media. Stuart Brown has his website, soundsofbroadway.com, if you want to hear hours and hours of theater, music, and show tunes. And finally, of course, Bob Cudmore. Happy holidays, Bob. BobCudmore.com for podcasts about upstate New York history. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Well, as I mentioned, Cynthia and Jeff, are you still there? See, these are my relatives, they're my cousins, and they're the folks you're going to be playing against as we do our weekly quiz. It's called Today, Yesterday. And what we do in that quiz is, today is December 21st, 2019. You know, we're doing our 725th episode of Dave's Gone By right here. So for our last segment, you have to figure out from our clues what happened in history on December 21st over the years. We've got about 8 questions. Cynthia says she's here. That means Jeff, her husband, is here too. So they tend to chime in first. They tend to be our arbiters. They're not always right, although they have a pretty good correct percentage. So you have to give the answers to our quiz questions. We've got about 8 of them today about December 21st. Are you ready? Here we go. On this date in fictional history, 1872, an Englishman and his French valet win £20,000 from a wager to do what? I should do a kind of a Jewish music. I'll repeat the question. On this date in fictional history, 1872, an Englishman and his French valet win £20,000 from wagering that they would do what? Oh, it's the same melody over and over, isn't it, kids? I'm going to give it another couple of seconds, but then I'm going to need an answer from Cynthia and Jeff or somebody, or just to pass. Okay, Cynthia has chimed in. They're thinking of, in terms of a Pygmalion sort of thing, teaching someone to speak properly. That was one of the answers. Then they gave a second answer. The second answer, gotta go with one, guys, or go around the world in 80 days. Which one? Answer is, you got it on the second one. So I imagine they're already 1-1. Cynthia's 1-0, and Jeff is 0-1. But yes, it was Jules Verne's book, Around the World in 80 Days. They promised at the Reform Club that they could do it, going by train and balloon. That was Phineas Fogg and Passepartout fictionally in 1872. So, okay, that was the first question. Oh, congratulations, Cynthia, you got it. Well done. It happened yesterday in 1891 at the School for Christian Workers, which was later to become the YMCA. 18 men played this brand new game based on 13 rules laid out by Dr. James Naismith. Name the game. Name the game. And I will give you a hint, or a multiple choice. Was it lacrosse, basketball, racquetball, handball? Back in 1891, on this date, at the place that would later become the YMCA, 18 men were playing a game based on rules by a guy who was working there, Dr. James Naismith. Were they playing lacrosse, basketball, racquetball, or handball? Cynthia and Jeff got it. It was indeed basketball. Okay, so certainly Cynthia, I know, is 2-0 right now. Yesterday, 1919, J. Edgar Hoover deported this radical socialist, anarchist, and feminist. She landed in Finland and then went to Russia, where she followed the revolution, but she wasn't allowed to set foot in the United States again until her friends got her a lecture tour in 1934. Name this founder of the Mother Earth Journal. There's a lot of clues right in there. What's another Hanukkah song? Yeah, no, that's a Purim song. Another Hanukkah song. The same song. I'll read parts of this one more time. 1919, J. Edgar Hoover deported this socialist, anarchist, and feminist, the founder of the Mother Earth Journal. She spent a lot of her exile in Russia following the revolution because she was... Cynthia got this one too. It's Emma Goldman. Yes, indeed. As depicted in the Broadway musical Ragtime, by the way. Pretty major figure there. So, I didn't realize it went back that far. I didn't think J. Edgar Hoover was in office that long. Wow. Anyway, our next question in our Yesterday quiz goes to 1925. Big musical premiere. No, sorry, not musical. Big movie premiere is no music, it's silent movie. Comrades, in Moscow, where experimental director makes important political movie about revolution by crew members on ship. Please to name ship. So opening today in the movies in Moscow, 1925. Important political movie for revolutionary sentiment. Experimental director yet makes a very big movie in cinema history. Opens today, all about the revolution by mistreated crew members on boat. Kindly to name movie and boat. We have answer from Cynthia and Jeff, and the answer is correct. It is Battleship Potemkin by Sergei Eisenstein. Very well known. I mean, even people who've never seen film, you have seen parts of film. The woman with the glasses and the blood and the eye and the ugh, you can't even eat when watching this movie. And then the famous thing of the baby carriage going down Odessa steps is all in this movie, Battleship Potemkin. Very good, very good. Stars for comrade, but you have to share with everybody because he's Russian. Anyway, moving on to our next question of our Today, Yesterday quiz. 1933. After giving her a week-by-week contract following her audition, Fox Film Corporation signed this 5-year-old girl to a 1-year contract. And it was a good movie. She had a breakthrough role in Stand Up and Cheer and Never Look Back. Who was she? Who was this actress? Okay, 1933, auditioned, got a role, got a week-to-week contract, but then Fox saw her and gave her a year contract. Who was this actress? And the answer is Shirley Temple. That is correct. Well done, Cynthia. Shirley Temple, who, by the way, lived until 2014. She was so young when she got into movies that we think, wow, she lived forever. But she was only in her mid-80s when she passed away. She did do 29 films by the time she was 10 years old. Wow. Speaking of movies, 1937, today at the Carthay Circle Movie Palace in Hollywood was the premiere of the first full-length animated movie. It was a Disney film, of course. But was it Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Dumbo, or The Reluctant Dragon? Okay, so today, in 1937, was the premiere of the first full-length animated film, and by extension, full-length Disney animated feature. How did they come upon the world? Was it with Snow White, Pinocchio, Dumbo, or The Reluctant Dragon? Okay, then give us a couple of seconds. That is our question of our Today, Yesterday quiz. Well, we have one answer. Do we have a second answer from the same people? I'll give you a couple of seconds to decide whether it was Snow White, Pinocchio, Dumbo, or The Reluctant Dragon. Are we going to get another answer, or I'm going to give a countdown. And the answer is, Jeff is correct. It was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That was the very first Disney full-length film. You know, I'm going to talk about Steamboat Itchy and all of that. Pinocchio came later. Pinocchio was actually 3 years later, and Dumbo was 4 years later. And believe it, whoever heard of The Reluctant Dragon? But that was only a couple of years later as well. 2 more questions in our Today, Yesterday quiz. And well, no, Cynthia got that wrong. And Robert from my high school, no, it was Snow White, which was the first. 1940, Today, Yesterday. Born today in Maryland. This gifted and eccentric musician created rock that was influenced by everything from R&B to jazz to classical to the avant-garde. His record titles included Apostrophe, Tinseltown Rebellion, and You Are What You Is. Name this rock person. While I sing the Adam Sandler Hanukkah song. Remember, born today in Maryland, gifted and eccentric musician, created rock influenced by all different types of music. Record titles included Apostrophe, Tinseltown Rebellion, You Are What You Is, and actually this is kind of a clue, because he was one of the first rock and roll people to include xylophones and that kind of sound in his music making. Was it? As Cynthia and Jeff say, it was indeed Francis Vincent Zappa, who was born on this date back in 1940. And unfortunately, if you can imagine this, Zappa died all the way back on 1993. He's been dead like 25 years. I just find that astonishing. My friends used to go see him do Halloween shows at like, I guess was it the Felt Forum or something like that? But anyway, one more question, and Cynthia and Jeff are doing really great in our Today, Yesterday quiz. 1940, this novelist passed away today, December 21st, but not before penning such books as The Beautiful and the Damned, The Last Tycoon, and This Side of Paradise. Who was the novelist who died on this date back in 1940? Okay. Who was the novelist who penned The Beautiful and the Damned, The Last Tycoon, and This Side of Paradise? Last question in our Today, Yesterday quiz. Thinking music. Okay, gonna give a couple more seconds for somebody to chime in as to who they think this novelist was. I am not naming the most famous book or two by this particular author. Oh, okay. Well, Cynthia and Jeff are stumped. Robert or anybody else, do you want to maybe chime in before I give our last seconds of countdown? The Last Tycoon, This Side of Paradise, Beautiful and Damned. Anyone? And, they tried with Mitchell. I guess they mean Margaret Mitchell, who wrote Gone with the Wind. But no, it was the author of the very, very well-known book, The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Those were a couple of his other books. So, okay, no, you went down on a negative note. But otherwise, I think Cynthia and Jeff did very, very well. How did you guys do in our Today, Yesterday quiz on this date, December 21st? Well, it is December 21st, 2019, and you have been watching and listening to the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. I want to remind you that if you liked all the parts of this show and you want to see it again, or you want to tell folks, hey, this was a really great episode, and there are folks you know who might like the show, remember that we will put the archive of this episode along with all our other hundreds of archives at davesgoneby.com within the next 24 to 48 hours. You can also find our archives at archive.org. The past, I would say, half a year of shows are there as well. You can watch them there. We've been on YouTube, by the way. Every episode that we've got has been on YouTube too. And what else? On Castbox.fm. If you just want the audio and you want to download this podcast and go to the gym or go, in a car or on a train or something, you don't need the visual, this is a great place where you can just do it as an MP3 podcast. Well, Cynthia is letting us know that Jeff and she may be not watching next week, but that's okay, because we're going to be figuring out whether I'm going to do our usual Saturday show next Saturday morning, or if, as we have been doing over the past many years now, if we want to do a New Year's Eve show. Going to figure that out. I'm not sure. I don't really know if I want to spend, as ever, New Year's Eve from like 10 o'clock at night until 12:30 in the morning on New Year's Day, physically here doing this. It's been fun, though, and it's been great talking to people. I would love your input. I would love your messages and your emails to say, hey, if you do your New Year's Eve show, I'm turning off Ryan Seacrest. I'm not looking at the bones of Dick Clark. I want to watch you guys on New Year's Eve during, we'll have a potato drop very slowly. So Robert says archive. Yes, all our shows are archived at davesgoneby.com. See, this is why I have to tune in the beginning of the show, Robert. So yeah, davesgoneby.com. You can listen to Dave's Gone By all week long. We have thousands of hours. It would almost take you a year now. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. We've got 724 episodes in the can that you can listen to, many of them 3 hours long or longer. So yeah, you got some listening ahead of you to hours and hours of amazingness. Wasn't there another one you know? davesgoneby.com, or you've got archive.org, or you've got castbox.fm, but that's for audio only. Oh, and welcome to, just now Tracy is tuning in. Welcome to Tracy. She was on our show about a year or so ago with her sister, Lorraine. I can say that. But Tracy, you missed the whole show. We started at 9 o'clock. It's 12:15. you'll have to watch it in the archive, or we'd love to have you tune in earlier. Oh, we're getting so many messages now. Archive.org. Check that out. The Internet Archive, thank you, Robert, for posting that. Digital library of free and borrowable books, movies, music, and they even have their Wayback Machine, because they keep it way back there. But anyway, I'm Dave Lefkowitz, so as I said, please let me know if you would prefer to have our show at the regular time on Saturday, next week, next Saturday morning, or if we should do our New Year's extravaganza and do it on, I guess it would be Tuesday night, and for New Year's. We shall see. And it won't be next week, obviously, it'll be the week after. But the best way to find out what we're doing is go to the website, go to this Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. I want to thank, speaking of Dave's Gone By, thanks so much, Rabbi Sal Solomon, for being part of the show, for doing the interview with Marty Brounstein. Now, the Rabbi has his own website, shalomdammit.com, shalomdammit.com. That's a great place to read his rabbinical reflections, to watch episodes of his hilarious TV show from about a decade ago, and also his stage show, Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Sal Solomon, the long, full version before it was cut down to one act. It's there. Give it a look. ShalomDammit.com. Thank you so much to Marty Brounstein for being with us in the Daverhood. Go to his website, MartyABrounstein.com, B-R-O-U-N, not brown like the color, brown like Eva Brown? No. Marty, B-R-O-U-N-S-T-E-I-N, MartyABrounstein.com, to get a copy of his book, Two Among the Righteous Few, or to book him for speaking engagements. We thank Marty so much for being with us in the Daverhood, and we thank all of you for being in the Daverhood as well. How do we come out of this? I guess we'll do our regular Dave's Gone By outro music. And it sounds a little something like this.
Dave's gone by, days gone by, days gone by, days gone by.
Not quite enough of that. Let's hear a little bit more. Let's hear a little more something Jewishish. I'm sorry about the shakiness of this. This will be good. And happy Hanukkah gone by. Hey! Most happy Hanukkah to everybody, for reals. Happy Christmas to all of you folks who celebrate that as well. Kwanzaa and Festivus too. And, of course, happy Daves to all of you, and gone by.